Come on, Google. Yeah, says we're live. Okay, welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 225. Today we got a guest with us from MUFON, South Cal, Chief Investigator, and we're meant to be having Shelly come on to talk about her abduction experience and UFO sighting. But not sure where she's got to, but we're kicking the intro and music. It will be with you in a minute. Here we go. Truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth. That's to the secure team fans out there. There's Earl Grey, he's coming up soon. A famous witch case. These are some clips from the shows that we've done. There's John talking about his bag of piss. That's Robert and his dog. He was meant to be joining us today too. Threw some 80 grey in there. I don't know if it's legit or hoax or not, but still, it's good either way. Alright, now we're going down to Earl's mother's underground base. Here we go for people on the sides. Where is everybody? More people have dropped off. Good to be back. Okay, be civil on the side, no swearing, and let's have a bit of fun. Simple rules. No trolling, no self-promotion. Okay, so it stopped. Nope, I gotta pause it. So many buttons you gotta click here to get the right cameras and stuff. In case you slip up.
I'm ready when you are.
Right, we're waiting. It'll ask you a question.
Can you hear me, Shelly?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm just going to take the lead here because if I don't think you can hear Paul. So, but why don't you tell us when things first started seeming strange to you? How long do you feel like you are you actually visited or are you taken?
Yes, sir.
Are you visited or are you taken by your entities? Is what I was wondering.
Twice I have missing time.
Do you have any memories from the missing time, or is it? Why don't you tell us about what went around the missing time? What happened before and after?
The first time, I was 4 years old. I was in the yard. Okay, the timing is off. I'm just going to keep talking about my first time.
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Okay, I've got to put the fast forward here just a little bit. Okay, I was 4 years old. I felt something odd, like something was looking at me. I turned around a couple of times, didn't see anything, heard a voice. It tells me, don't be afraid. Big booming voice tells me not to be scared. Don't be afraid. I see this just like a gray. I'm petrified. I'm standing maybe 15, 20 feet from a fence where my colt, a horse, and a mule, they're gone. There's nothing. I can't move. But this grayish, like shark skin, whale skin, maybe only wrinkly, dry looking on the outside, but thick, about the same color as if you were to put leather on a shark. It had the eyes, and the best I can describe it is the picture, very similar to communion on the book. Communion would give me a very bad feeling. I ran into the house after it put feelings in my head, feelings in my head like it was going to explode. It was so loud. I was told that my grandmother and my mother had done well, that I would be okay. It comforted me by telling me that they were okay and had been friends, was the only thing I could understand. Wow. That it wanted to be my friend is what I was comprehending. I didn't want to be this thing's friend. I thought it was an animal. I couldn't register what kind of animal. Wasn't an animal. I was a farm kid. I knew animals. I ran into the kitchen door, screaming the instant I could move. It just glimmered and began like you would imagine, like people talk about seeing ghosts. They're there, but they're not there. It's just glimmering like I can see through it, and then it's gone.
Wow.
That was my first experience. After that, I would have nightmares. Ask my father to look in the attic, that I thought there was a monster in the attic. He literally went and took me up into the attic of a great big white farmhouse, and he look, there's nothing. I still had a strange feeling, but I grew a couple of years and I forgot about it. I didn't forget about it, but I tried to forget about it. I'm 7 years old the second time. I have a stepmother now. She's very nice. I love her very much. Her name is Jenny. I'm out between two barns. My father grew tobacco. He had a dark tobacco barn. He had a burley tobacco barn. There was a gully between those two barns. I see the point of light again at an angle like here, like you're going to catch a baseball, right here. It comes a pinpoint, and then like a lightning bolt, the whole sky lights up. Bam! I don't remember a thing except everything lights up. Everything. From a pinpoint in the sky to a light, just puts your eyes out, you're gone.
Wow.
That day, my Jenny mom said that I was gone a little over 2 hours. They looked for me where I said I was. I wasn't there.
Wow.
I woke up near a persimmon tree that my dad used to tell me not to eat off of except once a year. I'll never forget it. I told my Jenny and my dad, my Jenny mama, I want to go out there and dig a hole. And I was obsessive compulsive about digging this hole in the side of this gully. I had to have a place I felt to hide, or I couldn't go back out and play in the gully, and I liked that. I liked playing in the dark tobacco barn where there would be, just all kinds of tobacco sticks and things that you fill you smoke the tobacco with, and I would play in the sawdust and build things with the sawdust, and I was really angry that I couldn't play in the sawdust by the barn there where the dark tobacco smoked at. In the barn.
You're losing
and afraid I was. And I dug a little cave in the side of a clay hill. Nothing else happened again until I was 17 years old. as far as I know. I heard that my mother, stepbrother, and
Yeah, she's cutting out. She's lost her Wi-Fi.
Oh, shoot.
She's lost her Wi-Fi connection.
piqued my interest.
Oh, there she is.
We lost her.
It piques my
You're,
interest.
you're kind of cutting in and out, Shelly. There you are. Now we have you back on camera.
I'm sorry.
So you were talking about when you were 17 years old.
Yes, my mother lived east of us, northeast.
You there still? You stopped talking?
Yes.
Maybe-
No. I went to visit my mother this summer. Yes, this picture you're looking at here,
I'm trying to change.
this happened 110 miles northeast of my father, his home. Straight up the Bluegrass Parkway off the Caneyville exit.
Yeah, I got a map.
They said that they were having these people come from the University at Western Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky. I went, I didn't see much of anything, and then one night my mother woke me up. You came to see them? Come in here and look out the window and you can see them. Well, I did. One was this large oval, we called it the oyster in this picture here. One end of it was a bit more pointed, the other end was a bit rounder. It wasn't orange. I didn't know what else to have Ali color it with because it wouldn't show with bright white. But it was bright white, Earl.
And what was this, a craft that you saw, or what?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It was hard. The stars were not there. The orange thing was there below it and to the left, lower.
Wow.
The other was higher in the sky.
How did you react when you saw that? Were you afraid, or did you feel comfortable with it?
Yes, I wanted to see this. This is the whole reason I came to visit my mother and didn't want to be really there. But I wanted to see what they were talking about, and I did.
Well, you know, it's very, very common for this to happen in families. That almost always. You were scared?
It was static electricity. Our hair. Shocked my own self with my fingers numerous times. Didn't even care. The thing would get very bright. Very bright. Then it would shoot these balls you see in this picture. It would get very bright. The orange sphere would accept one of the smaller, darker coral colored balls, and it would go into it like it was infusing it with a darker color. I have another sketch in there that should show that. Just the orange orb, how it would accept those balls.
Okay, I'm bringing up the location where the sighting was. You said it was between Canaville Valley and what's the other place?
Caneyville
and Litchfield.
Litchfield.
So in between here somewhere. You can see it's all.
And it looks like it's a very forested area. It's very rural, huh? Yeah.
And
I don't know if it is still that. I know it's still rural, but I haven't been there.
So it'll be somewhere here, I guess.
4 or 5 years.
Because you know that a lot of the sightings that people have, and especially very stunning sightings like you had back then, are oftentimes in rural areas. And it's probably because, you know, our visitors, obviously, they don't want to do it, usually don't want to do air shows, you know. I mean, sometimes they do. I mean, you know, the Phoenix Lights was kind of a show of power, I think, when that event happened. But usually I think it's for a family or for one person or a couple of people. And it sounds like that they were obviously getting your attention there. Your mom, so she wasn't surprised. This was your mother, correct? Or your stepmother? I forget.
No, this was my biological mother who lived about 110 miles away, approximately that.
So she
It
knew
was
about
right.
this and seen it before. So wow.
Yes, they had an experience. My half brother, my mother, and my stepfather,
Okay,
they had an experience.
Shelley, I got your
Wow.
picture up here. Is that you and your partner? And
That's me and my father,
yeah, and who's
and my partner, and then
partner?
my father.
Yeah. So who's in these other ones here? What's that one?
That's Alice, and that's me in the red. This is my father, and he was a high degree Masonic member for many, many years.
So what do we got here? Your kid photographs, is it? It's not really. It's a bit blurry.
That's Alice, and I'm in the red.
I can't see
Oh,
no red. Oh,
that's
right there.
just a personal picture.
It's a bit out of
Yeah.
focus. That's the problem. So that's you. And who's that? Ellie. It doesn't say Ellie, does it?
Mr. Earl,
Yes.
my mother and stepbrother and stepfather, he had been out on the back porch, my stepfather. He saw these lights yet again. He thought they were near the road that I was trying to get to my last experience. This was not. This was my third.
Hmm.
There's one more experience that was the most likely. If I were taken, I was gone for over 4 hours.
Wow. I would love to hear. You can just keep on going, Shelley. I mean, I absolutely believe you. Everything that you're telling me. It's not the first time that I've heard a story like yours. I'll tell you that much. And oftentimes when you live in a rural area like where you were at, it's more the way that you're describing it. When people live in the city and stuff, it seems like it's done more covertly. But when you're in a rural area where you were in Kentucky there, that's not an unusual thing for the people that have a family that has had ongoing experiences through the years. So I absolutely believe you what you're telling me, and what you're telling me about the skin of your ETs is. Well, that was what I thought. You know, when I had a visit, I'm actually an experiencer myself. I only have one experience. I've only seen entities once, but yes, their skin was like a shark or like a dolphin's skin. That was the way that it seemed to me as well.
Only thick and leathery.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember being, little kids think weird thoughts. I remember thinking that's what a gray cow or horse would look like if I shaved its hair off.
Maybe
I was 4 years old,
Yeah.
But let me go. Au contraire, let me go back to where I were. They took off after it before I got up there. Their story was that they went after it, didn't find anything, and didn't see it anymore after they got in the truck. Then they topped a hill on the way home, and he hit the brakes because it's right in the road. My stepfather driving.
Wow.
I hear about this. That's why I went to visit. We had a little, not an argument, but just a, look, Mama, I'm not going to go out and do this. I really don't want to go to this church with these kids that are younger with me. I'd rather go out and play with this girl across the street. I don't want to go out do this.
How old were you when this is 17. The third time? 17, okay.
Yes, both that at my mother's that summer of 78, August, September. Oh, this is the scary one. Worse than the balls. I decided I was going to go back to my father's and that I was going to go visit a friend. And
you're breaking up.
Bowling Green. That was about 30 minutes from there, 30 miles. So I'm going to meet him, or I'm going to hitchhike to him. Remember, this was years ago.
Sure, we used to hitchhike back in those days.
I was going to go hitchhike and see my friend or go to my dad's. I had to get through one field to keep from going down the road where I could be seen. I was going to go through the field, point A to point B, and I'm looking at this fence, and there's no way I can crawl over this fence. No way I can climb it. There's a picture of the fence later in here all by itself. It's just one of those segmented, like you have on the interstates, that keep you from the interstate road. It had 2 lines of barbed wire over it. That's the last thing I remember until I see that light. Same thing again, little pinpoint of light over the cattle coming straight at me. Boom. Wow. I wake up on the other side of that fence. My first memory is a cow is looking me straight in the eye, and I'm laying on my back.
Wow.
Cows don't get right down in your face and look you in the eye.
No.
And that's the first thing I remember. And I couldn't have climbed that fence. I couldn't have.
Yeah, it was barbed wire,
right? The next thing I'm aware of is I have a pinpoint of very sharp pain in my left lower rib cage area, right on my rib. To this day, in my whole life. I'm not saying implant, I'm just saying I've been able to touch that spot as I am right now, as I did earlier today. And it's still sore. That one little spot. I've had it x-rayed multiple times. They see nothing. No injury, no nothing. But it's always been sore. I was gone over 4 hours. My mother had sheriff, who was a friend, and other friends. The next thing I hear is his voice on a megaphone type speaker yelling my name.
Wow.
They called me Missy. And they were yelling, Missy, hello, Missy, hello, where are you? Come, Missy, Missy. And I try to yell and my rib hurts. That pinpoint is sharp. I feel sticky, like I've gotten wet and dried off a couple of times without actually drying. I felt funky. I don't know how else to put it.
It was put very well. Yeah.
Just a greasy, sticky, bad taste in my mouth, feeling all over, and very disoriented. No way anything was involved that could have made me feel this way. No epilepsy. No, I wasn't asleep. No.
You don't have epilepsy, correct?
Right. There it was. And it happened. And cows don't get up in your face.
Not unless you've been lying there for a while.
But they look like horses on the screen here.
I don't even think if I were lying there for a while, would a cow come up and put its face right into mine?
I don't know. Well, maybe, I mean, did you see the cow walk away, or do you think that you have a screen memory of something else, maybe?
Never saw the cow. I opened my eyes. I didn't see a cow there, but still, that's my first memory.
Okay, so that was probably, that maybe was not a cow. You know, that was oftentimes what will happen. And I think that it might actually be a kindness or benevolence that sometimes when people are either taken or visited by entities, by our visitors, that people will have memories of tall owls. Like we hear that a lot, like 4-foot tall owls. There's no such thing, of course. Or they'll have a memory of deers with big black eyes. Or an animal is one of the screen memories that people are given, and so perhaps that is actually a memory of of one of the entities that was, whether they were putting an implant in you or whatever they were doing that hurt. I don't know, but that could be what your memory of the cow is. That it wasn't a cow. That was one of your visitors.
I can say this, it's lucky I never wanted children. It wasn't that I didn't really want them. I just didn't want them till I was older, but I was told as a young girl that I could never have children physically. I don't know if that's related. I've read too much maybe into that, but there is a retroverted uterus. Know what that means, if it's happened to other people with this experience, but
yes, I've heard this before too. Yeah, I've heard that as well before. And usually if there are gynecological problems or any problems like that, It was probably not intentional, but I don't know that our visitors completely understand our biology, and maybe whatever they were doing caused that problem. Sometimes people are left with physical problems. Strangely enough, sometimes people are actually healed of problems. I mean, I hear that. You know, I work for Betty and Barney Hill's niece, Kathleen Marden, is my boss that I work for at MUFON's E.R.T. And, you know, she had an experience where they accidentally hurt her. She was actually dropped during an abduction while she was being taken. And it was a mistake. And it seemed that there was an apprentice that was working with a tall gray. And the tall gray literally rebuked the little guy in front of her.
There's
like
the boss.
It was like the apprentice and the
When
the
I've had a nightmare,
intern.
not to interrupt you, but when I have a nightmare, it's usually about a tall gray. A tall being, not the short little gray in the yard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I that's perfectly okay. I'll tell you, Shelly. I mean, you're the star of the show here. I mean, it's your story is an amazing story, and I absolutely believe you. I mean, you know, in the ERT with MUFON, we look for certain markers with cases, and so far you've told me there's probably 10, 12 different markers that you've spoken of about your experience that aren't really well-known things out there about the experience or phenomenon. So just you know, if you were my MUFON case proper, just from the weight of that, I would be giving you an unknown classification to your case. That it's not something that you made up or something that, you know, you had a, as you were saying, an epileptic incident or something. That you have had, you know, experiences with our visitors. Now, whether they're from another world or another dimension, I'm not sure. I think that they travel dimensionally, and that they can open up portals, that they can appear and disappear, just exactly like you spoke of.
For some reason, I just feel like crying. I'm not sure. I just feel so overwhelmed with emotion.
Yeah.
We get remember like so deeply. I can almost feel how much my eyes were burning when I woke up. The soles of my feet and the palms of my hands were burning. I don't know why.
It's, you know, it's hard to talk about this. It's brave of you to talk about it, but there's also a catharsis involved. It's good to release this, you know, and that's what you're doing right now. And there's emotion involved in that too, Shelly, that when you release those memories, and I'll tell you, I mean, I 100% believe you, and I acknowledge that what you're saying, it's you said, like what you told me about how that you felt like you had been like you were funky, that you had been washed in something and dried a couple of times. That's something that I've heard before. I've heard that a few times before. I had one gentleman who was a U.S. Marine who had an experience while he was a Marine, and he was in a barracks, and he was covered with like this sticky ick. And his bunkmate, it was most of the other guys that were in his platoon, they were all on leave, but he had his experience, and he went back to his barracks. He lay down in his bed, and then they took him. And his friend found him huddled up in the middle of the floor, shaking and cut, like sweat, completely covered in sweat. And his friend had to help him into the shower and kind of clean him up. And this is something that you know, the stories that you hear out there, Whitley Strieber's book and other things, that this isn't mentioned, not even in Bud Hopkins' books like Intruders and some of those. But what you mentioned is something that I have heard specifically from other people. A couple of times, 3 times, I've heard the same story. And there's no way that you would know that. And so just what you've told me there. So I'm wondering, do you feel like you're still being taken sometimes, or do you feel like it was the 3 incidents, perhaps?
I have no other memories except
Yeah.
for one daylight sighting with my half brother. For some reason, I have a memory of some being trying to force me to eat like a carrot looking colored substance, or put it in my mouth, a carrot looking hard. I just remember I thought it was a carrot, and it was so hard to even get it near my mouth, much less think about eating it.
It might not have been a carrot. It might have been like a medical instrument. But they use screen memories to make it easier for us to do things sometimes. I have one woman whose case I'm working on right now, where they stuck this like steel tongue depressor thing in her mouth, and it was a part of, whatever they were doing with her. Now, I don't know that do you feel like these were evil aliens or good aliens or indifferent? What do you have any feelings about that within yourself, is what I would like to know. Oh, I hope she didn't drop out there.
Given that.
Oh, there you are.
No, she's cutting.
I believe in my heart they didn't want me to be afraid.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hurt me, but I think I felt like it was so it would be easier for them.
Yeah.
Not me.
They can be very businesslike. I mean, they have a job to do, cold, apparently. Yeah.
Steel cold, hard cold.
Yeah.
Smells. I can't describe.
Try and describe the smells. Does it remind you of anything? If it's too difficult, it's okay. But
iron, rusty, cold.
Have you, Shelly, have you ever
chemically, like maybe formaldehyde almost, or I can't think of anything to compare it to except if you were to put old rust in your mouth and smell of it and taste it and add kind of a chemical to it. It's just a smell or a taste that I cannot describe.
It sounds like this was very difficult for you, and it's hard for you to live with this. And you know that I do have access to support groups for people that have gone through what you've gone through. And
on a daily basis, it's not so hard, but to remember so deeply is a little bit.
I have a very close friend who went through who I've known since high school, and she and her whole family went through something similar. And she said, well, I'll tell you your story, but I have to get some Xanax from my doctor before I do. Yeah. I said, well, when you get some Xanax, well, you can tell me your whole story, But she has a similar story to yours. So the whole family was involved. And it's very scary, I'll tell you. Myself, I didn't have my experience until I became a UFO investigator. And I started, believe it or not, and I started sending out this thought out into the universe. They have this thing called CE5, where you can meditate and send a thought out there, and perhaps the ETs will hear you. And I really wanted to meet ETs. I was thinking, well, maybe Space Brothers or something. And
I thought I did till I saw those orbs shoot out of that oyster, and I didn't want to see it anymore.
It's scary when it's really happening. You may think that you can handle something like that, but when I had my experience, it was not Space Brothers. It was cold. It was businesslike, and it was scary. I don't think they were evil. I don't think they were benevolent. And actually, I asked for it. I got what I asked for.
You asked.
I don't ask anymore.
So you asked for anal probing, did you?
Well, I didn't get that. At least I don't have a memory of that. So, as far as I know, they took blood and energy from me. It might not have even been blood because I didn't have marks on my body. It may have just been an energy suck, but it was scary as hell. I mean, it was not what I was what I was expecting. It was not Space Brothers taking me for a ride in their spaceship. They kind of treated me like an animal, you know. They treated me like a test subject.
Yep.
I often use a quote that I read, Charles Fort. I felt like the quote that he says about this is someone's farm and they're going to come back to harvest. One day they may come back to harvest, something to that. I felt like I was something being harvested or just told what I needed to be, like a puppeteered, or I was just a thing to them.
Yeah,
like
I know.
An animal.
I know what you mean.
You're like Chinese prisoners. Chinese prisoners.
An
where they use them
inanimate
for organs.
object, almost.
That's how I felt too, Shelly. I felt like that too. I was hoping that I would have some connection, or that I would have some knowledge imparted to me, something cosmic, or even just that they would show me around a spaceship. You know, I was very naive. I had read some books about the subject, but I was very naive about the experiencer phenomena. You know, when I joined MUFON and became a field investigator, I thought that I was going to be looking at spaceships, you know, more or less, investigating spaceships. And it's not so much that, you know, sometimes, you know, I've had a few people that have seen pretty impressive spacecraft, you know, from our visitors, but mostly it's stories like yours, and people are afraid in the moment. Usually they go and they live productive and beautiful lives. That's something strange that they can't explain. And I'm sure there are people out there that have no idea of what happened to them, that they're afraid to even think about. One case I had, the husband came to me and is a story very much like yours, but the wife couldn't even talk about it. I mean, for her, it was the devil and you know, demons from hell, and she wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. She didn't want to remember anything, and she would not talk about it. She called it the incident, and that was as far as she would go with it, you know. So different people are able to handle more than others. Some people remember a lot, but most people are like you, or they're like myself, where I have just fleeting. I have memories of the faces. I have memories of you know, the procedure that they did. I remember them coming through my wall, but most of my memory of the incident is before and after. You know, where I couldn't move, where the room flooded with light. My wife,
light is so bright when it comes.
Yes, it is. It is very bright.
It came through your window. Didn't it come so bright? You can't describe how bright.
It's very strange. I mean, with mine, what happened with me, it started subtly, and it seemed to come through the walls, actually. It wasn't so much through the window at first, but then, yes, it was coming through the window as well. Very, very bright through the window. But the room was already lit up before the light came through the window. It was, I think it's different than just what we call light. I don't think that it's photons of light, like when you turn a lamp on. It's something different. It's some other technology. Yeah.
I've said that. I've said it was a different kind of light, quote unquote. It was light, but so bright it felt like it was almost a different kind of illumination. But as far as the end of this picture up here, I tried to make it on top of Allie's orange and dark there, where it would show right before it took off. It got the brightest. The oyster got so very bright, and it just shot straight up.
Wow.
Just gone. The orange orb it had shot the balls into, it began to do the shimmery thing. Then it's just gone. Wow. The shimmering out thing. It's almost like, that's why I call them EBEs. It almost felt to me like it went into the air. It went into something that wasn't there that I couldn't see. Something that was there, but I couldn't see it. Or just UFO, like it just shimmered out.
Did UFO sighting come before the abductions or after? Before, yeah.
It was before.
So you saw the UFO.
She saw that.
How many people?
That I woke up with the cow looking at me was my last day at my mother's. I wouldn't go back. the sheriff took me to his house,
Right.
and I waited for my father to come there
So
to
maybe
pick me up and take me home.
maybe you
I
escaped.
didn't want to go back to her house at all.
So you might have
Yeah.
escaped.
I didn't want to be anywhere
Maybe
near there.
maybe they didn't implant you, so you managed to escape. So because you were in the same location, they couldn't find you again. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But
Well, I'll tell
I'd
you
love to
something
know.
funny. You wanted to get out of there. You never wanted to return. Well, I don't mention this to my wife, but you know that after we had our experience, we had 3 nights where the house flooded with light. And my wife does not remember entities. I do, but she, you know, the second night that this happened, it all happened within 1 week. My wife, she shook me awake, and she's pacing alongside of the bed. And our room is flooded with light. And my wife says, Earl, you need to tell your little friends to leave us the F alone. She didn't say F. She said the F word. She said, you need to tell your little friends to leave us the F alone. I already have insomnia. I don't need this, you know, SHIT, you know. And that was how my wife, you know, dealt with it. The third night, we both woke up, and it was mostly coming through the window, and we ran to the window. Both of us leapt out of bed. We ran to the window, and we pulled the, you know, we had curtains, and we had like the little, you know, the Venetian blinds, and you could see the light coming from above our house. It's perfectly silent, and but it was so bright you couldn't see a craft. You couldn't see what the light was coming from. So we didn't actually see something like your oyster, but in some ways, I think I would have rather have seen, you know, what the light was coming from. I have no reference point as far as what they were traveling in or what they were using, you know, whatever, you know, if it was a ship or their working platform is sort of how I think of UFOs. I don't know that they're all interstellar spaceships. I think that they'll bring a working platform down to where they're doing their business, and that's their little office or whatever you want to call it, you know, because people don't remember seeing bathrooms or anything like that. It's very business. It's all about, you know, about what's going on with the person that they've taken. So, well, you have
telepathically speaking to each other while they're there. They're speaking to me. This picture up here now that I'm seeing, that was the most benevolent that I ever felt. Was the first time when I was the little girl and I saw this thing in the yard. It was the only time that they ever told me, or that I ever felt anything in my head like that in my life, telling me anything. But it was telling me we are all connected. Like, I think of it as the universal consciousness or something. It was trying to relate to me, that it wanted me to be a part of with it, with my grandmother and my mother. They had been okay. I was going to be okay. Calm down. Big booming voice just looking me, piercing through me.
Wow.
They have no retina. They have no pupil.
No, they
just these
don't.
black things that look straight through you. They're slit. Didn't move. It didn't move. It just pierced this booming voice through my little head.
Was it like a reptilian eye, or was it like all black eye?
All black. I remember seeing a mule that we had that had these big oval eyes that were black. You know what I mean? And it reminds me a bit, just a little bit, that kind of dark black eye.
I got this picture up with ponies in the backyard. Did they actually see this alien grey as well, or did they run away, or what?
When I went over to the fence, they were walking towards me. They always would, because I'd bring them a treat to the fence.
Yeah, of course.
That's one reason probably that I turned around. I noticed they ran away.
Ah, right.
And they'd never done that before.
So they were scared of the alien.
Well, they were gone.
Yeah, and what time of day was that?
They were totally gone.
What time in the afternoon was
that? On the other side of that fence was my nearest neighbor, about a fourth to a little more than a fourth of a mile away.
Yeah.
One farmhouse.
At what time of day was this? The morning or afternoon? Because I was trying to adjust the volume. You might have said
maybe Saturday.
No, what time?
between breakfast and lunch.
So between 10 a.m.
A
and
beautiful
12.
sunny Sunday morning. I'm going
See,
to
with
say a Saturday or
adults,
Sunday morning.
Right.
with
Pardon me?
adults, they're usually taken while they're asleep, or when
Yeah.
they're getting ready to go to sleep.
Seems
With
strange.
children, it tends to be when they're awake, and maybe it's just because children can't fight them as much, or children are more open to the experience.
Couldn't move.
Yeah, but what's
Yeah.
interesting
Couldn't
here,
move.
she's...
So you were
Yeah.
paralyzed.
What's interesting, she's actually seeing this alien broad daylight when
That
They
is amazing.
they don't seem to worry about the mum and dad seeing it or whatever. It's kind of strange.
No
Well,
one
they
was
can
there
have-
but Mom and me.
Yeah, they can have whoever they want see them or not see them, Paul. I mean, that's been my experience. They can be very selective about who sees them, and if they want one person who's standing there to see them, and the person that's standing next to that person to not see them, then the person who's standing next to them won't see them. I had an experience like that with a UFO with my wife and a friend of ours, where I could see it and they didn't see it. They couldn't see it. So I think that they can, it's whatever you want to call it, Jedi mind trick or some kind of very personal camouflage that they can use from person to person. But I think that, when they meet us, that they can control our brain waves. I think that they can control I think that's part of what the light does too, is I think that turns our space into their space. And it may even put us into a different dimension. I mean, I've thought about this a lot too, that, when they opened a portal into our house and they came through the wall, that light, it was the first thing that happened. It was before I was paralyzed. It was before anything else. And so perhaps perhaps we go into their dimension, or they create like a little bubble that's their own. And I think that the light probably does that. But it's very unusual for it to be during the daytime, but that does happen to children, and it happens very often. Usually with children, it's during the daytime when they're, you could be jumping on a trampoline or playing in the yard, or, and it's very oftentimes, as Shelly described, in a rural area, and even with mass sightings that are like that.
I'm seeing this drawings in 3 parts here. We got the left hand, the middle, and then far right. Is that how it joins together there? It looks like the same part of the house here. Yeah, it looks like 3.
Yes, thanks to Allie, she can draw. I'm very bad at pictures.
These 3 drawings seem to make a complete scene, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
We got the middle bit and the end bit. So that's you talking to the alien here with the horses. Who's this
Yes, the picture with the alien is the first one. I was 4.
Okay, what's
the
this?
other one without the alien? I'm 7.
Is this your half brother over near the barn over here? Who's that there?
This is when they came and I was between the barns in the gully. Oh, please don't show that picture.
What picture?
Embarrassing.
I'm showing all pictures.
They had me in this big fancy dress. I was so embarrassed. There was a gully between the dark tobacco barn and the burly tobacco barn. I was down in that gully playing, and again I saw the light pinpoint just all at once get bigger and take everything out of me. I'm paralyzed.
So you've seen the UFO and then later the alien in the paddock. Is that what you're saying?
And I wake up and I'm
over
by this persimmon tree, and I'm closer. I'm not in my little gully where I like to play. I'm not in the dark tobacco barn with the sawdust pile next to it that I like to play.
Yeah.
I'm not there anymore. But that's the last place I was when I saw the light come out of the sky, the pinpoint, and then flash, and I'm gone.
Wow.
I don't remember until I'm over by the persimmon tree. The little tractor road turns to the right over towards the other barn in that picture. And right there where it begins to turn to the right. Now you imagine that orange picture being as bright a white light instead of orange. I didn't know what other color to make. How do you draw solid white that bright? There's no way. I woke up there. They said Jenny Mom had looked for me there. and I was nowhere to be
I
found.
suppose I could
But when
edit
I
it.
woke up, I was over, but further away from the tobacco barn,
Wow.
and that taste, that iron, gritty kind of a
Yeah.
nasty, chemically, I can't describe it any better kind of taste.
And I've heard this before from other people too, Shelly. You're not the only person that was left with that taste in your mouth, or that had an object put into your mouth, like the carrot thing that you were talking about. And it may not have been a carrot. It, might have been a metal, piece of medical machinery or something. It may have been a screen memory that they gave you so that you wouldn't be horrified by the memory. One way that I think of these experiences sometimes is that, if we're having a surgery and we woke up from it, we would be horrified. We would feel like we were under attack, right? And that's why they put us out. And I think that our visitors, perhaps this is why we don't remember everything, why they do try to put us out. And it may not be an evil thing or a malevolent thing. I think that, that in a way, if you think about the way that we treat like animals in an animal sanctuary, that it's sort of similar. That we want the animals in a sanctuary to live as much in their own habitat as possible. That we don't want them to be aware of us. But when we do have to go and do something to either help them or vaccinate them or check up on them, that will tranquilize them, which is paralyzing them, we'll go in there and do medical experiments or whatever. And sometimes the animals will start waking up during it, and you got to figure, well, they've got like this kind of scary memory, of not being able to protect themselves and having these strange creatures around them. So, and I think that perhaps it's something similar that's going on with us when we have these experiences. But everything that you've mentioned is very, very credible, just in the continuity of the phenomena. I probably speak to a good. Sometimes I'll speak to 8-10 different experiencers in one given week. And I hear the same things repeated over and over by people. Not exactly. Everybody has their own entities and their own stories. And I don't think it's just one thing that's going on. I think that we're being visited by different entities, or even sometimes the same entities have different motives. But I think the reason why they try to wipe our memories is probably a kindness, that they don't want to have us horrified the rest of our lives. And I'm glad that you are living a good and normal and happy life in your life. I mean, you're a very well-spoken woman. You and just what you told me, that it's not like this is always horrifying you, only when you talk about it in detail like you were. And
deeply to remember.
Yeah. And I'm happy for you that it's that way for you, that this isn't something that haunts you, because some people, it haunts them every day. And for them, I'll try to get them to a therapist that's familiar with the phenomena. I mean, I do have a list of those, Sometimes people want to be hypnotically regressed, but if you remember as much as you do,
I've had that done.
You
sir.
have? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I had narco hypnosis with sodium amytal.
Oh my goodness! Really? Wow.
And it was videotaped. I wish I had the videotape.
Who did that? Do you know who?
Thanks to my mother in it. Who did that? It was a hospital in California. I went to a doctor friend of mine, and I told her I wanted her to hypnotize me and regress me.
Wow.
I had private insurance, and they flew me out there and picked me up in a limousine. It was very nice. It was a nice vacation.
Wow.
But it was very serious. It was very serious.
That's good. I'm glad. Do you feel like that was a good thing that you did that?
Well, when they got to the part, yes, it was a good thing. Of course it was. When they got to the part, this is hard. about why I live with a lady friend.
Mm-hmm.
I began to tell my mom that it was because we were the same, and that
Oh, what's
they
happened?
told me that we had both been that way, and I wasn't going to be exactly like her. Do you understand me?
Sure, of course I do.
Living
Yes. Well, that's a very normal very normal thing. People have their, there's different sexual orientations, and that doesn't,
But
that's
different
just
things
a normal
changed
thing.
about me
Yeah.
when I was 4, and then again at 7.
Hmm.
At 4, I began to try to jump across the bed thinking I could fly.
Wow.
I would tell my dad or my Jenny mom, my brother, sister, come look. Anytime I'm going to take off and fly. And I'd take off and run. And for sure, I was going to fly. Silly stuff. I would go out in the garden and take food, turnips, potatoes out of the ground and go hide them out in the woods. Little idiosyncrasies like that as a very small child that I never did before.
Some people, I think this often, that our visitors are kind of changing our baseline reality. We sort of have, we have an idea of the normal things that happen in our world. But when you come in contact with this extraordinary phenomenon, you realize that everything isn't the way it seems on the surface, and in some ways it's almost like magic. I mean, they can float you through a wall if they want to. They can, it's just a very, very strange phenomenon, and they have ways around our usual physics, obviously. I can't walk through a wall here, but I know that it's possible to go through solid objects because I've seen it with my own eyes, so
I saw that thing shoot up so fast. I saw those balls go in that orange thing, and it was terrifying. I screamed, called the state police. Didn't faze my mother. But you understand that both being interested and just wanting to look up and not look back down, because your jaws dropped and you're totally astounded. You don't know what to say, what to do. But at the same time, you want to run. You're petrified.
Yes.
It's a very, a feeling of being torn inside.
Yes. You expressed that beautifully. Yeah.
I remember I began to sing after the second one, and they realized that I could sing, that I could read at 4.
Wow.
I didn't know I could read. I began to have a little playmate that was an imaginary friend. I remember making the playmate up on purpose, thinking that if they came back, they would think I was talking to somebody. Remember, I was a very little kid.
Yeah. Wow. Well, those are all coping mechanisms that you came up with,
Defense mechanisms, yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that they are possibly from another dimension, like EBEs or EDEs they're called, rather than extraterrestrial?
I think that I tend to lean towards that it's an interdimensional phenomenon more and more every day. I think
Jacques Vallée.
Yeah, that's where Jacques Vallée finally went, and Dr. J.L. Hynek. I'm close friends with his son, Paul Hynek, and Paul says that his dad started thinking that they were coming from other planets, but in the end, he said that it was interdimensional. He didn't think that it was a planetary phenomenon. He thought there was another universe, and I think probably so. But it's all outer space to me anyway. It's yeah.
Everything's the same. Either or. It's just so weird.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing. It is alien. Yeah.
Do you realize, or you may have seen Hellier, the show?
I haven't seen Hellier, but I've heard about it.
I've known since I was young that Kentucky, something about where, since I was maybe in my 20s, not real young, like a little child, that this mammoth cave near my mom's, do you realize, I didn't mention, but did the map, or did Paul mention to you that my hometown with my father and stepmother, where I grew up and was born, was about 30 minutes from Hopkinsville, from Kelly, Kentucky.
One of my favorite cases there, the Hopkinsville
I
goblins.
didn't ever hear of that until I was grown and probably in my 20s. Before I ever even knew anything about that happening, by the way.
It's a pretty wild case, huh?
Yes, it is. As an adult, I knew
shooting at
nothing.
them. They didn't really faze them. They were acting like a barrel full of monkeys, kind of, you know. They weren't monkeys. That's funny, because that's one of the debunkers were trying to say that monkeys got away from a circus. It's like, well, no. If you shoot a monkey's going to die. This one guy hit the one from his doorstep. Point blank, and he like did a backflip, and then he just ran away. He was fine, you know.
Edgar Casey was from Hopkinsville as well.
That's right. That's correct. That's an interesting area. So, well, there's hot spots. There are hot spots, and that certainly is a hot spot for activity. And
the reason I mentioned the show was that over Mammoth Cave and all from the one end of Kentucky to the other has all this crystal underneath it. The Pennyroyal Crest, I think they called it in that show. I wonder if that could be.
It's a conductive agent. Could be.
Is a conductive agent, yes. And one last thing, thank you for believing me. But earlier in the day, I meditated on that, and I thank you. I'm grateful for your time and you listening and helping. I know this happened. If I had to come to grips with whether you believe me or not, I've got to live with this. And thank you for believing
I absolutely believe in you, Shelly. I believe that you are absolutely an experiencer that I have not even the slightest doubt. So,
But I had to come to terms with whether I'm believed or not a long time ago. It just feels so wonderful not to be made fun of, to be taken seriously.
I'm careful what friends I tell about I don't really talk about it to my normie friends, I'm a musician, and but ironically, I have a couple of musician friends. I have one who's been abducted himself, a guy that owns a studio out here, and he found out I was into UFOs, and we got talking, and suddenly it's like, oh my God, we share experiences, So, it's people from all walks of life. We're not alone. You're certainly not alone. I think that this has happened to thousands and thousands of people, and that I don't think it's a malevolent thing. If they were trying to invade us, they're doing a terrible job of it, because this has been going on for a long, long time. And we're still being humans. We're still going to war. We seem to, going to the movies. We're falling in love and falling out of love. And we're doing the same old human thing that we've been doing since millennia ago. But whatever it is that's going on, they're very interested in us. And it's, I think, the most interesting thing that's happening in the universe.
I read the Enki, the book of Enki, about the Sumerian.
I'm reading that myself, actually. It's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Did you think that Enki represented God and Enlil represented the Luciferian character?
Perhaps. There's certainly parallels there. It's interesting stuff, isn't it? And again, I don't think that's the only thing that was going on. There's a whole different story in India, and then you've got different stories in China and Japan and the American Indians. And it seems like that we've been sort of a way station for cosmic weirdness since time immemorable. And we're part of it. Here we are, we're living our little normal lives, doing what we normally do, but then the strange stuff is happening, and for me, actually, it just makes life more interesting. I'm glad we're not alone. It would be a lonely place if we were the only intelligence out there, So, but we're certainly of interest to them, aren't we? Which is kind of a strange thing.
Something's going on, and I happened to get in the middle of it and fall into a family that something was going on with my grandmother and mother. But then again, my father was in World War II. He was a Mason. He was in Papua New Guinea, and
Oh wow.
I know, he could have been involved in anything either. I don't know. But he was a very good gentleman, and I miss him a lot. He knew that this happened to me. He came to get me to the sheriff, to the house when I was 17, waiting at the sheriff's house. His wife fed me and let me take a shower. I told her I was so funky. I felt I needed a shower, and I waited for my father, and all the way home, I just yelled and screamed and cried and, oh, Daddy, you just should have seen it. You should have seen it. Oh, Daddy.
Wow. What branch of the service was he in, Shelly?
In the Army.
In the Army? Okay. Yeah.
He was a part of a team that shot a great big, like an anti-aircraft type gun.
Sure. Yeah. My dad was Army Air Corps, so I was just wondering. Sometimes if it's Air Force or Air Corps, but all the branches of the military, I think, are aware of this. I mean, in Vietnam they called them enemy helicopters, and that the North Vietnamese did not have helicopters. It was an inside joke. That's just how they referred to them. So, whatever. I hope that there's some people out there that are hoping and thinking that they're trying to change our warlike ways, that they're trying to elevate us as a species. Boy, it's a slow process if that's what it is, because we're still doing the same bad things to each other that we've been doing for a long time. But maybe that's maybe that has part to do with what's going on, that we're being retooled some way. I hope that they're successful if that's what it is. But then again, maybe they're just observing us, and maybe we're the wild animal park, But either way, it's sure an interesting thing, and I loved hearing your story.
Thank you for listening.
And if you want to get a hold of me, it's perfectly okay with me if Paul wants to give you my contact information. If you need an ear,
she's on Discord.
I'm here for you.
She's on Discord, so you two can private chat there anyway.
Great, fantastic.
Thank you, Earl.
Well, thank you both. I'm going to have to get going here pretty soon because my wife is going to be walking in the door any second here now. So. It's funny. She was asking me if I had fed the cats. She sent me an email. It's like, yes, I already fed them, fed them before I went on air. So
it's very nice to make your acquaintance. I'll never forget this evening. I feel very catharsis.
I'm glad. Me too,
good
Shelly.
About this.
Me too.
Sorry I was late.
That's okay. It's an amazing story, and I loved hearing it.
Thank you. I enjoyed telling it, sir, and it has haunted me my whole life. 41 years ago, this began.
Wow.
And 41 years ago, I'm finally maybe finding some closure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, if you ever feel like you need an ear, or you need, if I have people that are even local to you, if you need a support group or anything like that. But it sounds to me like you're doing pretty darn well. But you never know. We go through our different times and different moods. So I'm always here for you. Okay, Shelly?
Any contact you have up here, I'd be glad to have it.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Earl.
All right. Well, Paul, I think I'm going to tap out here with you guys. That was an extraordinary podcast tonight. It's probably my favorite that I've ever done.
You always like my podcasts. That's because
I loved Shelly's story.
That's because I get you free reign. You see, you take over the show.
Well, I didn't mean to do that.
No, that's all right.
I was kind of treating this like I would in an E.R.T case, and that's, well, if you want to know what I do for MUFON, that's it right there.
Yeah, so we'll probably talk to Shelly more after the show and just go through some of the recaps anyway.
Wonderful.
And I'll ask you.
Well, if you had any question about whether she's an experiencer or not, no, she's absolutely an experiencer. It's a very, very a high evidence case there. If it were my MUFON case, I wouldn't think twice about giving that a high unknown classification. I would probably see if the journal wanted to print it. That's how good of a case Shelly says. So is absolutely alien contact.
Well, maybe she can meet you in California and do hypnosis and all
Sure.
that sort of stuff. Who knows?
She's already had that done. It sounds like it went really well for her. And she had it done by her doctor. It wasn't done by a ufologist. That's better. There was a doctor isn't going to be implanting false memories. So
we need to get hold of those.
Wonderful.
You need to get hold of that, in touch with that doctor, and get a copy of the tape. Maybe
I would love to do that.
And we need to probably do a follow-up show to playing it on air or something.
Sure.
Yeah, it's up to Shelly though.
That's a tape. I have tried to get that tape, and unfortunately, that place went under. It was in Long Beach.
Oh dear.
It was called ASCA. ASCA.
So it was right out here. It was in Long
Bellflower.
Beach. Wow.
Bellflower, California.
Someone must have the tape still.
I'll go look them up. ASCA, is that ASCA, ASCA?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to do a little detective work and see if I can find out. You never know; it might be, archived somewhere, right? They may have changed their name or something, right?
That would be great. It would be scary. They said that I started screaming and crying and trying to keep them from putting something in my ear or mouth or something. I don't know.
Jeez.
A carrot.
They brought me out of it pretty quick.
Wow. All right, you guys.
Okay.
You have a beautiful Sunday night, and is this Monday for you, Paul?
It's 4 p.m. Monday for me here.
My goodness.
And it's nice 28 degrees Celsius in the bedroom at the moment.
Well, our temperatures are similar. It's summertime for you on the other side of the earth and the southern side of the sky.
Yeah.
And here it's wintertime, but we're still sunny California, so it's like summer, of course.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for letting me be part of this. It was a wonderful show.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to tap out, you guys.
Okay.
Bless you guys, and talk to you soon,
okay,
Paul.
mate.
And thank you again, Shelly.
Yeah, okay, mate.
Good night now.
Good night.
Good night.
So it's just me and you. So can you see my screen real time, Shelly? Now we just want to go.
Yes.
We just want to go through the photos again with you. And so this girl in the white dress, is that you? Is it here? Can you see the screen?
Oh gosh, you.
What is that one?
Yes,
explain.
that's me.
Explain who's in the photograph. So who's this girl here? Where I got the curve?
That's on the phone. I've got those are all me.
They're all you, yeah. So this is the talent show.
See, I tell the truth. They
so you're
dressed
saying
me up and tried to make me a beauty pageant contestant.
Right. Okay.
How embarrassing.
Not really, because they're all out of focus. So you need to probably redo that one again.
Okay.
So they're all out of focus, and no one can recognize you anyway. See how
That's the only photograph I have of that stuff.
Is that when you were 17 there in red?
The burgundy shirt. Now that couch I'm sitting on is a little girl. That's inside the White House where
I don't see any
horses.
couch. I don't see any couch in the photograph.
See this picture of me and my mother. I was a little girl.
No, not.
And in the yard with the.
We're not looking at.
Yeah, you got two pictures. One there whenever it was right after.
Yeah, I haven't got that. We're talking about this picture here. We'll get to that one in a minute.
I'm sorry.
So this red one is when you were how old?
Approximately 21.
You're 21
maybe.
So
let's see. It was pre-1984. It was about 1981, 82.
Was that you smoking there? In your hand there. Is there something in your hand there?
Oh yeah, I had to have a cigarette. Terrible. Haven't had one in hours.
That's good.
I'll put it out.
Okay. So that was after the last abduction, then, wasn't it? That picture there.
That was a little rough.
So that was
remembering that.
That was 3 years after your last abduction. Then that photograph is what I'm asking.
Approximately 2 to 3 years, yes.
And how old were you here in the pension? Was that 7 or 8 or what?
I was 13, 12, 13.
So you're 13 there. So you're wee bit of a chubby girl then back then, right? And you lost some weight here, by the looks of it.
Yes, Now, that's not me. That's a friend of mine that was in a wheelchair holding my puppy. I forgot that was there.
Which one you talking about? That one down in the corner here, or
Picture. That's a little picture, a little Polaroid picture of a red-haired, short-haired lady in a
right.
wheelchair holding my puppy.
I can't see no puppy in it. So that isn't you
Little
then.
bitty dog.
You said you were 21
No,
there.
that's the only. I forgot that was the one in there. The one in the red shirt, pouring with the silver.
Right.
That's me. I was maybe 81, 82, right after I came home from Louisville.
So that is you. I'm not sure what one, the puppy. I can't see any puppy picture. That one there.
Directly to your right on the screen.
You're saying this one here is out of focus. We can't see anything on that one. Okay, so
That's me. I was about 3. It was maybe 2 to 4 years after, 3 maybe years after.
there.
21 years old.
21 there, 3 years after. That was when you were 13 at the pageant. So did you win any prizes? This is what I want to know.
Oh, do you really want me to answer? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I do.
My brother and sister put me in so many of those things. You're bound to win some of them.
So
I won Little Miss Kentucky or something.
I'm just asking how many you won. First prize, second prize, or third prize?
A whole lot of them.
Did you?
The more you're in, the more you win.
And
I was the first girl in Kentucky to ever win a national contest.
So what's the point of
there
it
you go.
all? What was the point of it all? Did the parents get free trip overseas or lots of money or what from it all?
It's their ambition and they're living it out through you. I was a little tomboy and I hated that
Was there any prize
stuff.
money though? Did they make any money
No.
from it?
No.
I'm just wondering
They
what
try to make you famous.
Make you famous.
Yeah, all these people think their little kids are going to grow up and get famous.
Oh, right, okay. Like the early days of
John Benet Ramsey.
Shirley Temple's idea, right? So what's the other one?
That kind of crap, yeah. And I wanted to be out playing in the garden and playing in the sawdust.
Okay, now we got the second picture up with a woman in a red dress and a woman in a black top of some kind. Is it?
That's Allie,
this one
my
here?
significant other, at our reception of our Holy Union here in our home.
Allie left or right?
Oh, she's gone to bed.
No, is she on the left side of the photo, Allie, or
yes?
Or is that...
She's on the left.
Right.
I'm the one with she's putting the sword in my mouth. She's feeding me cake.
Okay, right.
Wedding cake.
Okay, so how old were you there then?
That was August 16th of 1999. October 16th, I'm sorry.
So that's quite a few years after the last alien encounter.
Yes.
Or that you can remember, I should say. You still might be happening.
That I know of.
Still might be happening, but you don't know. And of course, now we got a picture of you and Ellie again, Allison.
Yes.
And your dad.
She works at UPS.
We haven't got a picture of your mum, though.
My father.
We haven't got a picture of your mother, though.
Yes, we do.
We do?
You can barely see it, but the picture of me sitting on a couch just above that.
It doesn't go. We didn't get that part of it.
Okay.
That's all you had up on Discord, but that's all right. We don't need to see your mum. So your mum had experiences as well with encounters. Was that correct?
Yes.
And did she talk about her mother having experiences as well?
My grandmother told me that she had experiences.
So it goes back at least 3 generations. Does it go back any further? Do you know of?
No, I don't know. I never met my great-grandmother.
So when's the first time your grandmother said that she experienced something? Was it 3, 4 years old?
My grandmother talked about being a teenager.
All right.
And lights coming out of the sky, and they tried to put something in her throat. That's the biggest memory I have of her talking to me about it. She was warning me about to run if I ever saw a light in the sky. I remember that.
So if
I turn the camera the other direction, I can show you photographs.
So your grandmother would have been back in 1900s, would it? 1920s, when she first saw it?
She was 72. She passed away at 72 in 1984.
Okay, so that puts it back into the roaring 20s, then, her age.
Yes. Yes.
That was a good age. I kind of like the roaring 1920s. That's where they're doing the funny dance and wearing the headbands and the feathers and stuff.
This is a photograph of me with my father.
Okay, let me put it on full screen. Let's have a look. Hang on, it takes a wee while for it to adjust. Okay, here we go. Hold it up further. Yeah. No, you're going in the wrong direction. Other way. Up, which is your down, I think. That's it. We got some shadow on it. Yeah, we've already seen your dad on one previous photograph. That's you and him hugging. And who's next in the white?
That's me playing guitar at a nursing home.
Yeah, we got your light on your window shining on the glass. That's alright though. Yeah, I thought you might have scanned those ones. That one we're seeing. And where's your mother? That was the one we wanted to have a look at.
Yes. Get the light on it better, differently.
Yeah, and you probably need to pull your curtains or something.
Oops.
Oh god, don't trip over. You're going to lose connection, I think.
This is my mother in the fur coat.
Alright, hold it downwards. Down, no, not almost, yep. Slightly to the right or left. No, wrong direction. Yep, there we go. Plus we got a reflection off your phone on it. Can't quite see. Could you hold it up a bit higher? Oh, there we go. No, you've gone too low again. Too low. Opposite direction. There we go. Keep going. Keep going up. There we go. Almost. No, yeah, you lost it again. You had it perfect then. So she's got her legs sticking out on the couch.
Yes.
I'll just see if I can zoom in a bit more. You got to hold it down a bit more. Keep going down. There we go. Almost. Almost. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That will do. Perfect. Fur coat. They would be banned now, wouldn't they? Fur coats.
It wasn't real. It was likely fake.
It's probably meant to, unless you live in Alaska, they have all that stuff on. It's part of their culture.
There's my family together, my brother and sister.
Oh, right, you're showing us some more. I just closed it down. Hang on. Yep. Too low.
I'm sorry.
I can see you and Ellie at the very top. Now, the one at the bottom we can't see. You have to lift it upwards or downwards, and it's always opposite to what you want. So if I say up, you go down. That one's a bit hard to see. So who's that?
That's my sister, me in the middle, and my brother on the left.
I can't quite see your brother. You got it too low down. But yeah, that'll do.
This is my mother when she was younger.
Yeah, you got to get the right angle. You got to go downwards. That's it. Hey, got it.
There you go.
No, you got it a wee bit too high now. But anyway.
Forgot that was there.
When you play it back, you'll
I make these collages.
Right.
Instead of photograph books, I use a big, as you can see, I make collages.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
I think that this gray that first was in the yard.
Yeah, hang on. Let's just go through that. That's the next picture. So what I've done is I've changed your UFO oyster into a white thing, but you said it was brighter than that. It's like looking into.
Yes, if you make the left side of it a little pointy, like an oyster.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. So I just made it into a.
If you imagine that, if you imagine that, that's.
You're saying this side
had a bigger on the right side.
This side had a wee bit more pointiness to it. To the other side, so it's more like a bullet. Would you say a bullet?
A bit like a bullet, but very pointy on that left side.
And what was the front of it, you reckon? The pointy side or the other side?
I took it that the Well, that's what the things were coming out of, so that's what I'm going to think
So
of
this
as
is probably the pointy
the
end
front.
here. So
Yes.
so it's more like a Buck Rogers type ship, a bullet with a pointy bit. Buck Rogers. So what's the other one? Flash Gordon. Let's see if we get a picture of it up. So there's Mammoth Cave. I was looking at that while you were talking. So Flash Gordon. I don't know if we can find it. Rocket. The early series, the old 1950s series.
I never watched Flash Gordon. I watched Batman when I was a kid.
So here's some pictures of Buck Rogers, the old series, right? It had a more of a bullet shape with a pointy bit at the end here. But yours
I
is.
see that, but yours. Fat end is the pointy end's the back.
Yeah, it's sort of round backwards on that one, isn't it? Let's have a look. So it might be more Buck Rogers. I think Buck Rogers have stuff.
I mean, that could have been the front for all I know. I just know that the darn thing shot these balls out the pointy end.
Yeah. That's kind of strange, that whole one, though. Why would you see an orange ball suddenly get hit by these other little tiny orange balls and then explode and disappear? It's almost like it was shooting another alien species out of the air.
I had the sense, and I forgot to tell Earl, or maybe I did tell him, because of the way that it kind of made it darker. The smaller balls were a bit darker, and when they would hit, it was like it was infusing it, injecting the red color darker into the orange ball, and for an instant it would bleed into it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then it would hit it again.
So here's some Buck Rogers ones by the looks of it. Pointy ear end, and that one was more of a round one without the rocket engine. That's probably what we're looking at. But yeah, I think people probably get what we mean. I just wonder if there's any other UFO cases out there that have the same similar shape.
If you imagined a big fat saucer, a big oval saucer on the one end, and then it came to a very sharp point at the left end, and those balls came right out of the bottom left part of it and went downward.
Well, let's see if
that's what it was.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I've seen any pictures what you're describing.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Back up. I saw something there. It looked a little like it.
I think you're a wee bit behind me, though. So it could be anywhere.
Right there.
Where?
Right there. Reporter.
Where?
What's that?
There.
Right. A reporter, it says.
That one?
Yes. It didn't have the thing on the top, but it was shaped like that.
Okay, let me just have a look. Can't quite see it. I think it's taken ages to download. That one? No, that one looks more like an airplane.
That kind of a shape where it's to the right, it's rounded, and then to the left, it's pointed.
So you're saying
that's what I mean.
This part of the UFO here is what it was more like. Had a pointy end and a round bit. That's what.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
But there were no windows, nothing like that.
Yeah. So
no windows.
If we cut that and modified your picture. We need to teach Ellie how to use computer editing so she can actually be a better artist. So we just
try teaching her anything. She doesn't want to learn. She works so hard, she just doesn't want to learn. She wants to sleep. That's it.
Oh, well, let's see how much we can do on it. Then we'll go through.
Excuse me, I need a drink.
Yeah. Well, I've got we've got another hour or so to kill yet, so so we'll just keep on going. So we need to modify that picture there. with the other thing?
I've wondered if anything could have happened to my brother.
Right.
He had a bicycle accident when I was very little.
Yeah.
Said he was looking at a light in the sky and not paying attention. He wrecked his bicycle and broke 2 ribs or 3.
Hmm.
Said he was looking at a light in the sky.
Bicycle, you
And
break ribs?
growing up,
Wow.
yeah, bicycle went all the way down a big hill, and he
Ah,
said he
right.
wasn't paying attention. He was looking at a light in the sky. That was before anything ever happened to me. I couldn't have been 3 years old or 2, maybe. I barely remember it.
It sounds like he might have had something then, and he hasn't told anyone about it.
I also remember everybody in the house, from Daddy to my sister to Mama to me. Everybody joked with my brother that he didn't like going in his closet. He had a walk-in closet, and he said a ghost lived in there. Whatever. He didn't like his closet. Nobody in the house did. As it were, in my life, my first, if you were to say sin, I committed in that closet. And I stole $20 from my brother in that closet.
All right.
How weird is that?
So
I gave it back.
Let's see if we can draw this oyster UFO and see if that looks more like what you're after. Can't see.
If we keep the right side like it is and just make the left side come to a real sharp tip, that's what we'll have. And it was probably 5 to 6 treetops tall. The other one might have been 2 treetops tall, maybe 3. The other one was 4 to 5. It was way up, a little higher up there, but it wasn't way up there like that. It was just a little higher.
Drawing with a mouse is
and
terrible.
It was, I forgot to tell him, there were no crickets, there were no frogs,
right.
no sounds.
I knew you'd forget something.
Yep, I forgot that.
So
and it was like something, sucked the sound out of the air.
Right. So how close are we to the UFO now?
Bring the top of it just on the left, just to a point. And you got it. Little bit, just straight to a point from about the first third of it on the left, from about the first, about the third of it there, where it begins to, there you go. Yep.
So it's not quite good, because we're modifying it.
You're getting there.
Yeah. Because we've got the image behind that's in the way, but that's alright. The original image, you see. Maybe let's see if we make it a wee bit fatter and longer.
There you go. That's it. You're getting there.
It's not quite symmetrical, but anyway, you're saying it went to a really point, so it went to finest point.
A really sharp point. Yep. That's why we called it the oyster. And it was just right. Boom.
Well, I can't really see that being an oyster myself. Like that.
That's what my mother called it, so that's what I called it.
I'd say it's more like a teardrop, or...
Yes, it did. I see that, yes. Or almost a zeppelin.
There we go. So that's basically what we're looking at. And it fired these 2 orange balls at this other ball. Now, what showed up first? So how many people saw this event? Let me just save that.
My mother and myself. My half-brother knew it was out there and didn't want to come and see it. He stayed in the bed and was scared and wouldn't come out of his room to see it. My stepfather said, I'm sick of these damn things, and wouldn't get up either. My mother said that she knew they were out there, that they woke her up, that she knew they were out there somehow. That was my mother, though.
Right. Okay, let me just...
She told me, if you want to see them, you came here to see them, get up now, come and see them. It was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so we modified it now. So there we go, we got close to what you're saying it is. and the right color this time. So,
Yep.
yeah. So you're saying this orange one showed up first, and then this showed up second, and then fired two small balls at it.
No, my mom came and got me. I go to the window.
Mm.
She says, "Look, they're right out the window there. Look."
So they
They were
both
both already there.
there. So we don't know which one comes first then. Okay.
No, they were both already there when I got to the window.
So who witnessed it all? Just you and your mother?
My mother and myself.
Yeah. And who else? Anybody you know of?
No one else witnessed this that night. No.
Ah, so this is at night time.
Yes.
What time in the evening was it? 7, did you say?
1:30, 2 o'clock in the middle of the night.
Oh,
A.M.
Oh, I didn't think it was that late. Okay.
She woke up and told me to wake up. They were out there.
Right.
That she knew it, and they had woke her up to come look or to come get me. And I'm like, oh, whatever you say. I didn't believe her. I went to the window and I freaked out.
Shame you didn't have a camera and take a snapshot of it.
Exactly.
Mm.
And there had been people in the yard taking pictures of things and looking for things ever since they had broke this story out that they had topped the hill and the thing was in the road.
Of course, you're in the whatnots and you got no neighbours for miles. Is that correct?
Right. There was one neighbor across the street. They were very religious, and they had told my mother they wanted nothing to do with this evil that was coming about.
Okay, so they probably saw it as well.
I'm sure they saw strange lights, yes.
Right. Okay.
Their daughter was my friend
Right.
that summer.
Well, it's an abnormal UFO, I must say, to just the classic oval-shaped one with a dome on the top. This is completely different.
I'll have to say it was a little bit rounder or thicker on the right, but that's a very good idea, yes. It would get so much brighter, and then that ball would pop out of it. The ball was bigger than that right there, that orange thing at the tip. It was bigger,
Yeah.
but the big round orb it was shooting it in was about half as big, almost half as big as the big thing, the big white thing, oyster.
Interesting. So what have we got in the side comments there about it? Was there any sound with these craft? I think you just said that too. You said there was a hum. No hum. And was all the
nothing? It was like the sound had been sucked out of the air.
No, you didn't even hear any humming.
My hair.
Right.
No.
You didn't hear any buzzy bee sounds or anything.
Not a sound. My mother's voice sounded tinny. My own voice sounded weird to me because it was so damn quiet. Okay. It was just like, I don't curse, but it was very quiet.
But you're on a farm there, so you had animals everywhere. Surely the animals would have noticed this.
No, this was not a farm.
No?
My father's was the farm. This was just a little house in the country.
Oh, okay. So it's a different location. All right.
Yes, 100 miles, approximately 110 miles apart.
Okay, so can we draw that?
This is the one that's about 30 minutes from Mammoth Cave.
Okay, so I did bring that up before. Let's have a look. Go back to the map. Unless I closed it. Did I accidentally close it? Looks like I accidentally closed it, did I? That's a shame. I had it up on the map. I must have hit the close button on it. So, let's see if we can bring it up again. So, that was
Susan, I know who Honey Boo Boo is. Poor little girl. How you doing, Susan?
Is that your friend, is it?
I just saw something funny that she said on the side chat. I had to shout out to you, Susanator.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Mammoth Cave.
Yes.
So
I'm sorry, Paul.
No, that's all right. So, here it is here again. It's quite a wooded area, surrounded by farmland. So, where would the house cottage be? 100 miles away from Mammoth Cave? Did you say, or?
Let's. Can we go to a smaller road map, maybe?
What was the name of the road then? Brownsville?
Let's go to Brownsville.
Well, that's over the left here. Yep.
Yes. Now let's try to find Caneyville.
I had
I went
Caneyville.
to the church with the neighbor girl near Brownsville, so I know we're near there. So we are near somewhere.
Caneyville.
Caneyville. Or if you see BEE, like a buzzing bee, and then the word springs, bee spring.
Yeah. Let me just get it up.
If you see Round Hill, you're right on top of it.
Okay, so
there's Bee Spring.
There's Caneyville. But I thought
and there's Bee Spring.
I thought your farm place was over here in the middle. Between
the farm place is at my father's in Eddyville, Kentucky. That was when I was young, a little girl.
So this place at
Caneyville,
the place near Caneyville in Litchfield wasn't where the farm was. That's where your little house was. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, my mother's little house.
Okay, so this is where your mother's was, and your father's farmhouse where you saw. I had the abductions take place. Was it?
It's on Highway 60 in Eddyville, Lyon County, Kentucky.
Let me see if I can find it. Eddyville.
The house still stands.
Eddyville.
The farm is still there.
I haven't got Eddyville. I typed it wrong.
It's in western Kentucky.
Yep.
There's Caneyville just to your left.
Hang on, let me just bring it up on the map. Okay, Eddyville's quite a distance away by the looks of it.
100 miles approximately to your left.
Yeah, 2 hours drive from where your mother's place is.
Yes.
Okay, so here was a farm there. That's where you apparently were abducted, was it, the second time? Because you would have been like... How old were you when you were abducted? That was the first time was 3, wasn't it? You said.
I don't know that I wasn't abducted. I saw the gray in the yard.
That was on the farm, right?
I went to go feed the horses on the farm. I had a colt, a mother horse, and a mule out there.
Now we got.
And I went to feed my colt and the mother.
Right now I understand. So.
Princeton. There we go. So, that's where I grew up at. Yeah. Eddyville, Hopkinsville, right there.
Up here was your mum's place, and that's where you first saw the UFO, and then you moved to your father's farm. So how come you...
No, you got it backwards. First, I'm at my dad's near Princeton and Hopkinsville right there. There's the road my dad lived on, Highway 60. I grew up there. But when I was 17, I went to go visit my mother near Caneyville, and that's where I had my last experiences.
So you saw the UFO at your father's?
The gray.
No,
as a child.
No, the UFO. This one. That was
that I saw at Caneyville at my mother's.
You saw that at your mother's, okay. And then
at the little house.
So what happened at your father's then? Place down here.
That's where I was 4, and I went out to feed my horse and colt.
Right. So that's
I think it was apple or sugar cubes.
Yeah.
And
so that was the other pictures that we had right at the end here. This one here.
Yes, that was near Hopkinsville.
That's at your father's, the big farm.
Yes, that's my father's at the farm.
Got a big red barn and a farmhouse.
There's the second time.
That's the second time you had contact, this time with the alien grey.
Where you see the barns.
And then you went back...
No, I only had contact with an alien grey once when I was 4, and that was at my father's.
When did you leave your dad's to go back to your mum's place over here?
The summer of 78, I was 17 years old.
So you went back to your mother's, and then you had the second abduction occur there. Right.
If it was an abduction, it happened there.
Okay, so
If the first one would have happened out by the barn when I was 7,
So-
if I was abducted, I was gone about 2 hours.
so they
Two-
managed
2
to
hours, a
track
little better.
you 100 miles difference there, is what I'm seeing then.
Somehow
Is it 100
they were,
miles? 50?
they had
Yeah,
experience
50,
there,
100, yeah.
and I went to see what was going on, and that's what happened.
Right. And yeah, you can see it's pretty in the whatnots where aliens would like to go and kidnap people or study people.
And now you see Radcliffe up to the right, northeast of there is Radcliffe. Right in there, right above Radcliffe is Fort Knox. It's very close to Fort Knox.
Can't see Redcliffe on the map.
To the right.
Up here.
Yes.
Fort Knox is
above Elizabethtown.
Oh, you're breaking up a wee bit.
Fort Knox is very close to Radcliffe.
Oh, right, yeah, it says Fort Knox there. What was Fort Knox? There was a lot of... is that where it had a standoff of American Indians or something? It seems to ring a bell. Was that the location?
I'm not sure. I know that's where they're supposed to hide the gold.
Right. The massive vault of gold. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was some other history involved in that location there. Because I'm not very good at American history.
Is that where that pilot took off at that crashed in Kentucky? Forgot his name, and they said he was chasing Venus.
I'm not too sure. You mean Mantell?
Yes, Mantell. Didn't he take off from Fort Knox?
I don't know. Me and Robert need to do that case sometime. It's all in his hands to go over all the details. We do a live stream on it with Robert sometime. Because he's the historian. I don't keep all those type of facts in there. But I thought there was like Fort Knox goes way back in history, where Indian wars were and all that sort of stuff.
I didn't. I'm not familiar with that.
Maybe I've got the wrong name. I don't know. We need a US history major on the side chat.
I was in Fort Knox about 3 months ago,
right.
And I wanted a cup of coffee from Starbucks, and they said I would have to show my driver's license, fill out a piece of paper, and take my picture before I could even go in there to get a cup of coffee. I said, no, thank you.
What was that about, though? Why would you have to take your...
Because it's on an army base.
Oh, right.
It's such a lockdown these days.
So this is the barbed wire fence. Unfortunately, when you snap...
That's that fence.
Yeah,
that's why I was trying to tell you. I couldn't have climbed it.
You haven't got a picture of how high it was compared to how big you were, but no way to climb.
I was 5'4". 5'4" It came up to my shoulders. Big fence. I couldn't have climbed it. It had barbed wire on the top, 2 rows of it electric. It's what we call a weed burner.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Understand what the fence thing was all about, though. You're saying that you woke up in a field that's fenced by this barbed wire, and you couldn't get through any side of it, or what?
I wanted to cut across that field and make my walk shorter. But the fence, the cattle had 2 big bulls in there, and you don't mess with cattle when there's bull around. They'll charge you sometimes, and it's dangerous. And the last thing I remember before I saw the light, I'm standing there going, damn, how am I going to get across this fence? I can't climb this fence. I'll get hurt. There's no way I can climb this fence. I guess I'm going to have to go around. And I look up, and I'm looking to see how far I'm going to have to go around, and here comes that light. Pinpoint, and then bam. Last thing I remember. Now I'm on this side of the fence trying to figure out, well, I don't want to get over there where those cattle are, the bulls, but that's the shortest way, but I'm not going to do it. I'm trying to figure out how to go around it. Bam. Next thing I know, I'm waking up funky as I can be, the taste in my mouth, my eyes are burning, and my nose is all runny and just nasty. And my hair's all soaking wet with sweat kind of feeling. I'm laying there, and a cow is my first memory, as its nose right up to my face, looking me in the eye. I get woke up. There's no cow near me.
That sounds like
I get up off the ground.
That sounds like something I did with the alien. What was it? A comedy I did. What was it called now? Illegal Aliens. With Trump saying...
No one has asked me the question I'm waiting for. How did you get back across that fence, girl?
Well, how long was the fence? You know, did it go like 100 miles each direction?
Oh no. When I woke up and I was hearing the sheriff, or I was hearing a man's voice on a loudspeaker yelling my name, I knew that I must have been, somebody was looking for me. Something was wrong. He came and I started yelling, here, who are you? Who are you? This is Missy. Hello, I'm here. That was my nickname. My name is Michelle. He came and he walked on the other side of the fence and walked me all the way around to a gate and let me out. And it was a pretty good walk.
Yeah. So this is an animation I did, my first try to learn how to do animation, with a disco ball that's a UFO landing on the White House lawn, and Trump's there and Hillary's there, cursing at each other pretty much. So aliens pop out of it in a minute, but it was my first animation I did, and there was a cow that you're talking about in it. So I was just going to get to the cow. So you can see I'm using the kid's slide. It pops out, and the aliens slide out of the disco ball. Let's see, I got some sound on here. I can't hear it though, for some reason.
Wouldn't it be funny if I went back to make a photograph and there were still cows in that field?
Yeah.
I've thought about that before.
There's Trump. Illegal aliens.
Tolerance for criminal aliens is zero. We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Illegal immigrant, my friends. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Folks, it's a crooked system. Absolutely rigged. It's a phony deal. It's a crooked system, folks. It's a
That's kind of like Multi
system.
Python.
Hillary
It's
Clinton,
the best I could
she's a
do.
world-class liar.
I feel sick. Can somebody help out, please, and get Doc Jackson in here?
So this is.
I wondered.
This is the Putin, not not Putin. Putin.
Yes, wasted time skid. You're right. It isn't on a military base. It is the base. I could not go in there without a military pass, even buy a cup of coffee. Look at that.
We will make America great again.
So yeah. So at the end, I've got this cow, right? So see if it reminds you of the cow licking your face.
All right.
Are you seeing the cow? A UFO's gonna suck it up in a minute.
It's better than our cows, yes, much.
So this is my animation I put, and it now gets beamed up. Cattle mutilation. And they suck the blood out of it, drink it out of the cow, and then they drop it back down. When I first...
Almost looks like a bull or a steer.
Oh, the first one was, yeah, cow.
Now, my cow had real black eyes. Yours has hazel eyes. They have nice eyes in your cows.
So, yeah.
Mine were kind of dark and just black.
Well, there's the cattle mutilation.
Look at there.
So yeah, that one wasn't actually liked too much because it had Trump on it. We got 7 likes out of it. No dislikes, so it wasn't too bad for my first one. That was back in January 2017 I did that. But yeah, they actually took me quite a long time to make all that little animation. But yeah, the cow sort of cracks me up. The cow's quite good. Here it is, here again. So I do fake news, and it's got a secure team on there, and third phase of the moon, stupidity, and it's also got, yeah, it's got his famous Mr. Ken there. But yeah, the cow sort of cracks me up. Let's see. There he goes with the tongue. I could just imagine that licking you.
I wish it had of. I felt so funky. I would have rather been licked by a cow.
Hey, John. Is it John? Hang on. Security just uploaded a new video. Oh, really? He finally got it. That is a day late to what he promised, huh? Yeah, so
Thought his attorneys gave him the advice to take the channel down.
no, just the video of him saying that he was beaten up in jail, which we all know is BS. But anyway, so let's just go over the pictures again. Let's see if we. So this ball, this one here,
that one,
this one here.
That's how the balls would go into that bigger orb.
Right. So this is your cows here. They're not too sharp. I had to brighten it up so we could see what it was. Are they cows?
Yes.
Are they cows or horses?
Those are Alice's rendition of cows.
That's what I thought. I thought they were cows. That one kind of looks like a Great Dane dog here, though. Yeah, kind of look like dogs to me.
You know,
yeah.
The way the light is drawn like a beam is not how it happens.
No.
It happens like a pinpoint that immediately, as quick as you can look at it and find out it's getting big enough for you to see, it gets right up on you like a lightning striking everywhere. Not like a beam.
No.
Like somebody just turned the brights on. And I mean brighter than anything you can imagine.
You don't see a beam of light when you're in it. Is that what you're saying?
When it gets close to you, right before it knocked me out, both times, it's just little zooms in on you from little to big, bam, and everything's white.
Yeah, have I got the thing open still? So you're saying it was saying...
I've wondered if that's what Travis Walton, if he's really telling the truth, is that what he sensed or felt?
Looks like
was it just all of a sudden bright like that, just bright, and then he went out?
Like
that's all I can.
Looks like I stuffed up my wallpaper somehow. How did I do that? I managed to change my wallpaper.
That somehow I woke up both times laying on my back. How did I fall down? How did I get on my back? I have no idea.
That's not my alien. I think it might be there now. Hang on, let me just... Is that saved now? There we are, back to normal. At least I think it is. How did I stuff that up? What I was going to do is try and draw what you're saying. Okay, here we go. So here we got a person icon. I don't think we have we? What can we use for you? Let's see, what do we got there? Somehow I need to find out how you can add your own ones to the list. That's very limited, isn't it? For characters. I suppose we could use that one for you. So you're standing there, and fill it in. And the UFO. We just use a disco ball. There we go. So So it's hovering. Is the UFO hovering above you, or is it just coming close to you? Is it hovering a certain distance away from you, and then a beam happens, or does it go right over top of you and then the beam happens? That's what I'm asking.
Imagine a little dot coming at you, and as it gets really quickly towards you, it's a golf ball, then it's a baseball, then it's a softball, then it's a basketball, and
Right.
everything goes white
Okay, let me just see if I can draw that.
quickly.
So it's like
Everything just goes white.
it's like a cone shape coming towards you. That's what you're saying. So it expands,
And
and then it goes right around you. Is that what you're saying? It hits you, and you just pass out.
everything, yes, little to bigger, 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 white.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to draw here. But we got the orange outline.
There's no way to draw white like that on white paper unless you're using black paper and white ink or
Yeah.
a pen.
I'll just use bright yellow. Or you can always see it there. Probably orange was the best one I had there, really. Oh, there we go. Why is it not changing now, though? Something happened.
Everybody that's ever been close to me in my whole life has heard these stories.
Right.
No, people that have known me my whole life know that they've teased me, they've bullied me. They call me tinfoil hat lady or hat girl, alien chick. I've heard it all.
So how wide is the beam of light? Do you know? Does it sort of just engulf you, or does it actually go further afield? You don't.
There's no beam. There's really no beam, Paul. It's like the dot comes at you and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's just everything's white.
It must be a beam though, but you don't see it from the angle. You're seeing it from like a 2D perspective. You're seeing it as it's coming towards you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, if someone threw a ball straight at you, or something, a bullet ball straight at you,
Yeah.
and you could see it from the instant it was a bullet because it was so bright.
Yeah.
Way up in the sky, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally that little bitty bullet is great big, and it's just bam, everything's white.
Yeah. So
It's not like the ball is big. It's like it gets to a certain point of it's closer to you and bigger, and then it just goes white.
right. So if I make it,
Maybe that is a beam that hits me. I don't know what it was.
so you're seeing it like are you looking upwards at this thing, and it's getting bigger and bigger and
At
bigger?
first,
Yeah. So it must be a beam coming
Yes.
down, but it's like laser light. It disperses as the light goes through the atmosphere, so it sort of refracts and makes this cone shape. So yeah, from your perspective, it looks like it's coming down bigger and bigger, like that, towards you in a 2D perspective. So yeah, we're sort of
it could be a beam then, I suppose. I've never thought of it as a beam.
Yeah,
I've always thought of it as
Was the
an
UFO the other
enveloping.
side of the barbed fence? Or was there no UFO? Was there a UFO? Maybe there's a picture here somewhere. This one here. Was that on the other side of the barbed fence? We got a barbed fence here, is it, for cattle? Is that the barbed fence? It looks like a barbed fence.
Yes, that's that fence.
So the
I
cattle
couldn't climb.
cattle are surrounded by this barbed wire fence in this picture. Is that how it was?
Yes, and there are trees all around, woods.
Around the fence, right. So the UFO was above the cows, was it? And then
It came from the west. I was facing maybe southwest, and it came straight out of the west-southwest as a ball of white light. Got bigger. Reminded me of when I was a little kid. I remember getting really scared. It got real big and everything went white.
right, so
It got bigger, like it was coming right at me, and everything just goes white. Next thing I know, I'm on the other side of the fence, and there you are.
Right.
Cows looking right in my face.
Right.
It felt like it was nose to nose with me. These cow eyes.
So it's basically brighter than white.
Scary.
The light was brighter than white that you can imagine any spotlights. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and I've seen spotlights. I've seen the lights at the Kentucky Dam.
Earl was saying when
it's almost a different
Earl was saying
type of light.
Yeah, Earl was saying that like his house filled up with this white, but it wasn't like normal light. It was brighter than white.
Yeah, it's almost like a different type of white.
Mm.
And I want to say the word iridescent.
Yeah.
Or like if you put a light inside of a pearl and then made it glow from the inside out very brightly. It was almost like it was a different kind of light.
And which could be some sort of exotic particle that's from the other multi-universe, if it's interdimensional. Or it could be what you call symmetric particles. So what we call photon, there may be a anti-photon, which is what they're using. If you can imagine that, but it's still light, but it's just the inverse of light. So that's why.
Could that make the noise different? Could that make noise suck out of the air?
Well, it's possible, I guess, because it's creating a electric field of some sort. Maybe electromagnetic field for it to be produced, and then it, makes it be able to send it being down towards you, which you see as an expanding light heading towards you.
Yes.
And then it just knocks
light heading right at.
Knocks you out and then sucks you into the craft. But like what Travis Walton was saying, I suppose. But they didn't actually see him being taken off, right? Yeah, I still don't like that Travis Walton case. There's just too many holes in the story. Your story is actually more believable than Travis Walton to me, by far.
I'm just thinking of the movie scene where the light hits him.
Yeah, but then we don't see what happens after that point. They all take off all scared and thing, instead of diving out the truck, grab them, drag them into the truck and drive off. But anyway, I just don't like the Travis Walton story. It looks too much fabricated story. In fact, one of the guys in the truck said it looked like a stair-stalker stand with spotlights on. So there's a lot of holes in that story, and I think even though they've tried to use the lie detector test to actually verify the story, but there's a lot of stuff that wasn't quite right in the Travis Walton story. Like he was sick in the car the whole day, so he had whole time to go and set up this deerstalker stand with lights on, with run off a truck battery, or have a ute in the bush there that's hidden. He had and his mate was on it as well. So yeah, he would have made at least $3 million back in that day when the movie was out. So he's done pretty good out of the whole deal, right? You haven't made $3 million.
I'm not looking to make anything. I just want to know what happened to me.
You didn't make a dime out of it. In fact, you're dead broke. So
I've been made fun of my whole life over it.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe should just save that little picture there for reference. That will do, I suppose. UFO.
And the orange ball, it had an odd, I don't know, like a glow to it. I keep wanting to say iridescence. That's not the word. Luminescence.
Right.
And there's a coral color. If you made that color a little darker and put some orange to it, that would be the color.
So this UFO that's emitting orange up here was actually pure white. Is that what you're saying on this one?
Yes, I had no way of drawing the pure white, and that's how Alice drew it.
Right.
I didn't draw that.
We better check up on the side comments here, see if anyone's got any questions. I see you are in, so I don't believe you. Don't believe who? Has it shown in your subfeeds yet? What are we talking about here? You don't believe Shelly's story, or what? Has it shown in your subfeeds? Damn, I'm not sure what they're talking about here. I think Robert's gone, hasn't he? Does anyone really care about Tyler's channel? I think they're talking about Tyler, not talking about our topic. Does anyone want to come on? Talking about Phil Schreider there. Is that the end of the list? Robert must be around. Does anyone want to come on the side chat with Shelly? We can open it up if you want. Ask questions with her. Instead of typing it on the side. So that's your alien grey there. But that way she's drawn it there, looks like she got pupils. You said they were pure black though. So she's got actually little
Yes,
pupils.
Alice drew that. Now, I had her draw its left hand, another little thing I forgot, I guess, or big thing maybe. I had her draw its hand that way because it held its other hand to my left up, like it was trying to comfort me or make me stand still, or like its hand was what was controlling my paralysis. But there was something maybe it was holding in its left hand. I can't be sure, but it kept holding its other hand.
Right.
I'll show you my hand. I'm holding a lighter
Right.
at a weird angle.
Right. This one here.
Like it was at a backhand angle. She drew it at a forehand
She's
angle.
drawing 3 fingers here. Did it have 3 fingers and a thumb, or just 3 fingers?
Yes, 3 fingers.
Did it have a thumb at all, or just 3 fingers?
No. When it held its hand up to stop me, there were 3 fingers.
Right.
And I knew it was no animal. When it held that hand up, I knew, even at 4 years old, there was no way that was an animal.
Yeah, so
It had no fur.
So we got a wee bit of time still. Let's see. I've got 15-20 minutes left. If anyone wants to come on the chat at the end, just have a chat with Shelly. She's been very brave retelling her story this time. And she had a MUFON expert who works with E.R.T. What's that stand for? Extraterrestrial Research something rather. Can't remember what it was now. So yeah, you just click on that link and you can join us on the video. Don't need an account, just need a Chrome browser on Windows. And if you want to install the app on other devices, you can. And you just click on the link and it'll open up the browser, then it'll open up the application. Go straight in. So there, the link's there if anyone wants to join us, ask questions. Yeah, so makes you wonder if your other family members, your sisters and the brothers, all had any experiences, right? And they're not telling you.
I don't know about my sister. We were never very close, and if something happened to her, she would probably not tell anyone. She's the type of person that cares too much about what other people think.
Right.
My brother, he used to talk about something that was in his closet, and I know he said he was looking at something in the sky when he was having his bicycle wreck. He would ask me things like,
the closet
don't
thing,
go too far out in the woods.
The closet thing always sounds like paranormal though, rather than aliens. Just makes you wonder if it's all related. Right. You talk about people seeing entities coming out of cupboards a lot on paranormal shows. Yeah, looks like no one wants to come on and have a chat with you. Not too sure.
I'm going to remember this, guys. You all don't believe me, and it's the truth, but I'm comfortable with anyone not believing me.
Right.
I've lived with this a very long time, Paul. And like I thought about yesterday a bit and today, I told my friends at medical, I would like to be believed, but I don't hinge my life upon whether someone believes me or not. It happened, and I'd like answers. I may never get them.
So you got a pain in your rib cage, did you say? Or was it in another location on your body?
At the bottom of my left ribs, as they go from my sternum and curve down.
So basically
if I lay on my back, it is actually raised up right there. I
Right.
was seen by a doctor. They weren't broken. They weren't sprained.
Right.
There's nothing on x-ray, but there is something that even Alice, I put her finger there last night and I said, can you still feel that little thing right there that's sore? It's like a divot.
Mm. So you think it might be an organic implant or some kind that's not being picked up?
I can't,
Did they?
I don't know.
Did they?
I've always wondered why
Did they
it
do
hurt.
a CAT?
I didn't.
Did they do a MIR scan or CAT scan? Because that would pick it up, I think, because it's magnetic. You see.
I've had MRIs and
Yeah.
I've had CAT scans. I don't know that I've ever had them on my ribs, though.
Yeah. Mm.
I have to get a chest X-ray every 3 to 5 years for my medical,
So
and
makes you wonder
I've
what
never-
they're doing, modifying DNA through the generations, through your grandmother.
I wondered
mother.
if they took something out rather than put something in. If you want to know what I've wondered.
Yeah, I wish they took my gallbladder before I got sick with it. That would have been handy. So
Thank you,
makes you
Wes Snipes.
makes you wonder if they put something in you to grow like a fetus. Not the way we think of a fetus, but maybe some sort of parasitic alien that grows inside you, and then they just come and take it out of you.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, ooh.
Let's make a sci-fi.
Thank you, Susan.
What does Susan say?
that she believes me too. I have no reason to tell this. It's like a feeling that maybe they took something. I can't stand the idea that they put something in me. That just all this just creeps me out, but to the maximum it creeps me out that they had something inside me. I think that's everyone's big horror.
I think they probably use nanotechnology and they put it into your blood system and it sort of goes from there. Maybe the nano things in your system still are building things. Maybe
That's why I'm 58 and I still don't have gray hair.
Well, smoking hasn't killed you yet, has it? How old are you now? What age are you now?
I just turned 58 this past summer,
Right.
spring, summer.
Right. Okay.
Getting older is strange. I feel like this happened 10 years ago.
Rob reckons I should stop questioning you now because you've had enough.
Oh, I'm not freaking, but I'm kind of tired. I'm getting hoarse, but I'll answer as much as I can.
Well, is there any questions in the side chat people want to ask that we missed? I've been pretty thorough, I think, trying to pin it all together. Locations, what your drawings mean. I can't think of anything else that anyone would want to ask you. Did they give you any knowledge, maybe? What they were doing?
I came away from the first time at 4. I came away from that with a feeling that we were connected.
Who's connected?
We are connected to these things. I wasn't as afraid. I was afraid, but at first I was more curious than afraid. And I thought I could feel we were somehow all connected from its thoughts putting telepathically.
Right.
That some part of that was getting across to me that we were all a part of each other. Not to be afraid was the big line. Not to fear him. Not to fear him.
I'm not sure what that means, though. That's kind of weird, isn't it? All connected.
It was trying to tell me that my mother and grandmother, I was the same, that I had something to do like that they did, and I
Right.
didn't have to be afraid
Right.
of them. And I couldn't even move to speak. I was paralyzed, just standing there. I could not move.
Yeah.
Have I ever had sleep paralysis? People have asked me. I do know what that is upon waking up. Sometimes I've noticed that sometimes you wake up in your head, you're laying there, but you can't move yet. That's a totally different thing. I wasn't asleep.
Right.
I was a little kid in the morning wanting to go outside and play after watching TV. And I went to see my horses, but I came away from this scared. But later on, and at that time, I felt like if I could make an imaginary little friend, and I named him Tom Vinegar, that I could make this thing come back to visit me. Though I was afraid of it, I did want it to come back when I was very little.
Okay.
Now, how weird is that?
No,
But after I was 7, I didn't want it to come back.
Have you had any paranormal experiences that you wouldn't say was alien related, but paranormal?
One thing, yes. I've never told anybody this, but others experienced it. It involved a Catholic priest. I was in an apartment with my first live-in relationship in Mayfield, Kentucky, in an old building that had an insurance office downstairs. There was a smell.
All right.
It was hot in the wintertime, and my friend woke up, and the eyes on the oven were red hot, and the oven was not even turned on.
Yeah?
Yeah. And there was a skillet, an iron skillet, where we had made either sausage or bacon, and the grease wasn't getting hot in it.
Oh, strange.
And she goes to get a towel, opens the bathroom, and bugs fly out. So we run out of the apartment. We spend the night at some friend's house, and we wouldn't go back to get our stuff without a Catholic priest. Yeah. And he told us to stand back away from the door before he opened it, that things might fly at him.
Sounds like you need to make a Lifetime documentary and make a better movie than...
No.
Make it better than James Fox can.
I think Molly and her friends were playing a trick with me on that one. I didn't really know what was going on, but she urged me to go get this priest. And during that time, I was teaching other children what I had been taught by my brother and sister, and I hated it. But I had to rent a place to teach from the priest, so I kind of wondered if that was something she did somehow. But I don't know how she that grease from getting hot, or that stove from getting...
It's a good way to convert people to religion by doing a prank like that, I suppose.
I guess. Yeah. I had nightmares for years that my grandfather I promised him something on his deathbed. I promised him I would take care of my grandmother. I swore that I would, and then I didn't. I started having recurrent nightmares that he was coming to the door like a zombie from the grave wanting in, and she would walk in, my grandmother, from the kitchen and say, "Why don't you let him in? What's wrong with you? Open the door for your daddy Bob." And I'd say, he's dead. I can't, what's wrong with you? Well, I had some hypnosis. That was right before I went to California, and the doctor friend of mine told me, got me hooked up with them out there. She said, "This is what you need." She said, "You need me to find out where this is coming from." Well, Paul, I'll never know if I dreamed myself cured or if my grandparents came into my dreams and told me it was going to be okay. But the next time that I had that dream, after my hypnosis session, the next time my grandmother came in and said, "It's okay. Let him in."
I think that's what
I let him in. I went to the door. He was normal. And he said, "I forgive you. You were too young to make me that promise." And I never dreamed it. I didn't dream it anymore.
Right.
That's about the most other weird that I've ever had.
Yeah, I think you gotta face your fears, and then once you face your fears, and you can fend off the paranormal or aliens, or
I don't think
or
my
feel
my
comfort.
dreams were
Yeah.
my dreams weren't paranormal. They were me.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, you face your fears, then it doesn't rule your life. It's like when you hate someone. If you keep thinking of someone that you want to hate all the time, it just drains your energy. It's best to forgive them, and then they're gone out your memory. And then you can just forgive people for whatever bad things they did to you, and just move on. Else it just drains you. And it's always on your mind, like how you would like to go and strangle the guy or whatever, or female or whatever. It's best to forget about them, move on. Same with the paranormal stuff. Face them. I normally swear at them and tell them to go away and stuff when it happens to me, and I'm not scared of them anymore. Like I said, when I wake up and saw a thing hovering over my head, my heart rate was going crazy, and I was trying to fight it off.
It's through
most
the
people
hypnosis,
most
yeah.
people would be running flat tack away from it. Me, I was confronting it head on, and it almost looked like it was confused of my actions, and it dispersed into a cloud and disappeared. But yeah, that was a really strange thing that happened there. And when I had the aliens ones with tapping a needle in my back, when I looked into its eyes, I wasn't scared at all, and it was sort of like deep black eyes, and it had this. It sort of like it was glowing, like it had like the jellyfish under the sea that glow. It was like that. It had had its own sort of radiance to its green skin. I would just say it was. I only saw it for a few seconds before it passed me out, which makes me sound very similar to everybody else's experience. To me, it felt like a real dream, and I'm wondering why they were coming to visit me and sticking a needle in my back, because I always complained about super bad back, because I was always screaming and pain when getting up and down. I still got back pain, but it's gradually, it went away for a wee while after that dream, which is a strange thing, and it took about a week or two before some of the pain started coming back, because I was kicking the ball for Charlie, and I sort of did a twist again when I was kicking, and the pain started slowly coming back again. So I don't know if it was my body dreaming it to ask the aliens to get rid of the pain, which it did do. So Earl's was like evil space brothers. Mine was good space brothers, I suppose, in that case, even though it was sort of crazy and painful. I never had such pain in my life when the alien was sticking a thing in the back and the string, and I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't scream, I couldn't do anything, and then just passed out when I saw the other alien next to the bed in the dream. Yeah, I would have thought I'd never have an alien dream like that ever. Never even imagined it. I've had paranormal stuff, so I expected that, cold spots and stuff like that, but never aliens. And it's only happened.
This set me,
That's
you
only
and I
happened,
both, on a lifelong journey to find answers, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like I was meant to create a UFO channel for truth and expose all the fake stuff out there, so we can get to the actual research of all this strangeness that's happening. And then Earl actually watched one of my documentaries on Tesla, and he loved it, and he liked the way I was thinking, and he got in contact with me on Facebook, and we've just been friends ever since. But he said, yeah, I got lots of things to tell you, but he said, if you might experience something further on in your life if you associate with me. And I thought, that's a kind of strange thing to say, but I've had lots of strange things happen since I've known Earl. And he, being a chief investigator for MUFON, he's investigating all sorts of cases each week, right? So yeah, it's almost like whoever's watching Earl is always watching who he's communicating with. So if he starts communicating with you, you might have something else start happening, which may not be a bad thing. It may actually give you answers, and it may solve the whole mystery of what your experience is all about. I think this is what it is. It's they're just feeding us little dribbles of information through these strange events that we we have, which people think we're crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't want to be called tinfoil hat again.
Well, that's the problem with Secure Team. He actually keeps pushing the tinfoil hat thing all the time, and he's even on his Patreon page, right? Which is a bad thing to do because it's taken a mockery off the UFO field, right? And this is the whole thing. I've just proven that he started his whole channel just to mock UFO people, and then people took his stuff seriously, so he rebranded it. People just don't realize that out there, and they just won't accept it. He's actually laughing at you on lots of episodes these days. He's almost giggling. He's almost bursting out laughing as he's spilling some BS about a UFO video or whatever. You go back and listen to some of them. He's really holding it back, not to burst out laughing, you know. He's a rat bag, and people should understand that. But yeah, it's been good, Shelly. Despite all the little technical problems there at the start there. But I think when you come back in a year's time, you think, oh, jeez, I could have done that so much better, and done some more drawings or whatever. You could have done it a lot better. Got pictures of where your location was and all that sort of stuff. But this has been better than our first time we had a chat with Discord. At least, and Earl made the difference there. I think he asked all the right questions, and I sort of just took the back seat.
Thank you for this opportunity. It meant a great deal to me, and thank you all.
But I'm saying,
for listening.
what I'm saying is, you were meant to meet me, and I was meant to introduce you to Earl. That was what was meant to happen.
Synchronicities.
Yes, and El's always on about synchronicities. Often we'll be talking and we'll come out with the same topic or almost the same words, or he'll do a comment on Facebook and I'll do a comment on Facebook, and it's an identical thing. It's really crazy, you know. Just trying to think of an example, but it happens quite a lot, you know. When we bring up a case, did you see blah blah blah, and he'll say the same thing, and we'll hit enter, and our messages will come up together. Spooky action at a distance, right? Yeah, because we're always talking about UFO cases, and he tells me about some of his cases in private, because what he revealed today was only a little snippet of what he actually knows, but he's got to be careful now because there's new rules of MUFON how much they can tell of a person's case on public. But yeah, you can see these ones don't always end up in the database. We never find these ones because a lot of them don't have even video to analyze, so I sort of skip past those ones anyway. But you won't find them anyway because they're always left open, these ones, because on abduction cases keep on going.
Yes.
Yeah. So they don't close it off, so it never ends up in the public database. So it's only there for the investigators to keep looking into. So yeah. So what are they saying down here? Wesley, what's Wesley up to? Thank you, Sherry. I enjoyed listening to your experiences.
Thank you for the opportunity, and please thank Earl again for me. And you guys, I've probably bored you to tears, but thank you all so very much.
No, you haven't bored us at all.
I feel much better about it.
Yeah.
And I have a new headset.
Yeah. And
thank you.
And I'm pretty sure more people might come out after watching your story now, hopefully, and want to come on the show and tell their abduction story. Is she gone, or?
No, I'm right here.
All right, you're just having a puff.
No, I'm typing that I'm likely going to ask Earl for the information.
Yeah, do that on Discord. Send him a direct message, and it will send an email to him, hopefully.
For some local other people, like he mentioned, support, and people that believe and know when someone is, has been touched in their life by something that is totally inexplicable and totally overwhelming.
Now, I would have loved to hear your hypnosis tape, though, see if
me too.
Was any extra information at the end, but that would have scared you more, probably. Did they tell you not to
Well,
remember it, or to remember it when you wake up?
they wouldn't let me have it.
Right. No, but
It would. They said it would be
normally, but
too
when they bring,
upsetting for
yeah,
me to
when
have.
normally when they bring you out of hypnosis, they can say you'll remember everything that you just told me, or they might tell you to forget about it before they bring you out, so you're not sort of emotionally disturbed in your life, because you never get.
I didn't remember much.
Yeah. So did you actually sleep very well after your encounter? Because after my dream, it took me a couple of weeks to readjust to going back to sleep in the dark.
Oh, I've never liked sleeping in the dark.
No.
Not since I was a very little girl. I've always had to have a nightlight.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you should
I
say
was
that.
able to read after that. I forgot to tell him that.
Yeah.
I didn't go to kindergarten, they call it.
Yeah.
Like before you go to elementary school.
Yeah.
And after that experience, I told you I made up a friend so I could pretend I would have a friend I was talking to, and I'd pretend I was talking to the alien, the thing in the yard. I was pretending I was just calling it something. And my mother said, what's his name? And I said, Tom. Tom what? And I looked up on the refrigerator and I saw a bottle and it said vinegar on it. And I could read it.
Yeah,
I'd never been taught to read.
That's funny you should say that, because that's how Earl Grey got his name. His name wasn't. His name's not actually Grey. His name's Earl Anderson, and he was in a band, and they had two Earls in the band, and they said, "Oh look, we're going to have to call you one of yous a different name." So he looked at the Earl Grey tea on the kitchen of the band house, and he said, "Oh, just call me Earl Grey." This is before he got into MUFON and all that sort of stuff, because he's a musician. He plays in bands and stuff, and he likes the Beatles. So like at the beginning of the show, I actually had the reader reading out, calling him the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man.
Oh,
so we're having
there's synchronicities. I love Earl Grey tea. I've drank it for years.
Yeah, I used to drink it, and Mum used to say, "Oh, how can you drink that shit?" It's kind of
it has bergamot in it.
It's kind of like a mild minty taste. I think it's kind of minty. Yeah, but my parents that grew up in England, right? They're used to the old British breakfast tea, which is quite strong. Earl Grey is really on the other spectrum, and I think it's kind of more of a minty peppermint flavour to it myself. But yeah, I used to drink that because it had less tannins in it, and it didn't upset my stomach, which was always a problem. Later on in life, I always got reflux with drinking breakfast tea, right? In the end, I gave up tea, but yeah, I occasionally have one because I fancy one, Now you're talking about Earl Grey. I haven't had one for so long, I wouldn't mind drinking one right now. But that's...
back in the 1800s, I believe I've read that way back, slaves used to use the oil in their hair, the bergamot oil, to smell good.
Oh, right, yeah.
And who would ever think that you could make such lovely tea with it as well?
Yeah.
Or that you could use it for so many different uses.
Yeah.
But thank you all for the chance to get this out of me and get it out there. If anyone thinks of anything you'd like to add or ask me later on, just hop to and I'll be right here.
And I have to say, we need to get more people onto Discord to talk to Shelly and the rest of us there, and tell your story. Post it there. We can arrange for you to come on live. Although you could come on now and talk about some of it if you want to be brave. But yeah, come and join our Discord group after show, which is in my about box here, and Discord's at the top here. And if you click that, you don't even need the email address, but if you want to reserve your nickname for using on Discord, you can. And you can be there talking to us and uploading your pictures and stuff, and asking us to look at UFO videos, see what you think. Whether it's a misidentified object in the sky that you saw or whatever. You only get the truth here. I don't.
There was the thing in the daylight. Wait a minute. There was a thing. I was playing ball. I mentioned it to you earlier today.
Right.
My half brother up near Caneyville, with where the 17-year-old thing happened with the cattle,
Right.
and with the big balls going out of the big oyster. That same yard right there, where that was out the window, we were playing ball. I think we were throwing a football.
Right.
And I went to catch it, and I looked up, and there was a silver round, just a round, spherical, shiny thing
Right.
going across the sky in the daylight.
Right.
My half brother's name is Wynn, Wynn.
Right.
And Wynn said, I said, look, and he saw it too. He didn't want to look at it. He'd had that experience, you know, and he didn't want anything to do with it. He quit playing ball and went right in the house. I kind of determined it might have been a satellite. It did nothing weird except just float way up high up there. I went in the house and comforted him, and nothing ever really came of it. But I did see that in the daylight.
Yeah. And did you notice the wind direction that day? Was it perfectly calm, or?
There wouldn't have been much wind. It was middle of, August, September. It would have been hot out.
Do you think it was going
I remember
with
it was
the wind
hot.
or against the wind? Because if it's going against the wind, we can say it's not a balloon straight away. Then you see.
I can tell you it was headed south.
Yeah.
It was headed south. I don't believe it was windy, and it was a hot summer afternoon after school, maybe 5 o'clock in the evening, 4 or 5 o'clock, and we were throwing a football around.
So it might be
And it
one
was
of these.
headed towards Bowling Green.
They talk about these little UFO spheres or balls, silver balls, being alien probes. So just keeping an eye on you.
Oh, that's possible.
Yeah, like they're filming you, but maybe it decloaked so you saw it go past, so it knew you knew it was there. But maybe they just assumed too much because you weren't sure what it was. You see. So anyway, yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
So yeah. Might be that they're using us like parts for something else. I don't know. What would they be taking from us? DNA? It must be something. Information stored in the cells. You know how I talked about atoms. The energy in atoms actually could be like a trillion data bits of information in each atom. So you know how dogs seem to have passed on knowledge. They know how to eat certain grasses. So they sniff for a certain smell in the grass and they eat it. They know it's going to make them better. That stuff is passed on through the DNA somehow. That information. It's not taught to them. That's what I was saying with Charlie. It's like he has like this uncanny humanness to him and knowledge. He gives you that sort of look, you know. He gives you that sad look and wags his tail, bends his ears. I don't know. They can communicate with you without words. You know exactly what they want. So they'll come at you and give you a funny look, and you know they want to go out. It's almost like ESP in a way, but cats. I can't say are the same though, but maybe some cats are. Cats are different creatures. They're sort of like arrogant. I find cats. They're sort of like treat you like the slave, and they're the master. Well, dogs actually treat you like an equal. I find, like they like to be around you.
Dogs are much more dependent. Cats are much more independent.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, dogs like to be around you all the time and work as a team. Well, the cats like to work single by themselves, right? They don't like to work in teams, because that's why you use them for rounding up sheep and cattle, right? because the end goal is to get meat and feed everybody, right? So they work for the community. Well, the cats work for themselves, and they get everybody else to work for them.
I wanted to say something right quick, please. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Paul, before I forget.
Yeah, we're just
I was
running.
watching or reading something the other day, or watching something, and it was about people getting UFO-itis, where they want the attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they want that 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Andy Warhol said.
Yeah.
This is not me. And I noticed that Wes made the comment that he wished that, or he's kind of wishing that something unusual maybe could happen to him like this. I promise you guys,
You don't
want this.
You don't want
You
it.
don't
No.
want this.
No.
I promise. We want all of us answers, but there are no answers for me.
You don't want them to.
There are only.
Yeah, it's not like they.
Only.
It's not like they show up to you and say, "Well, this is us. This is our engine. This is our medical bay. This is what we want to do with you." They just come and grab you and do whatever they want. So that's the whole thing about it all. They're not asking permission.
It's only something that I can come to terms with and try to find out about.
Yep.
Like learning from you guys.
Yeah, well, we don't know. That's why we're here, and we're always seeking answers, and we're listening to people. Hopefully, they're not. Some of them are disinformation agents out there, obviously, and some of them are a wee bit cracky, mental, as well, and believe they've had experiences. I'm not sure if you've seen that documentary about My Mother Talks to Aliens, Australian one. They actually show her doing some investigation with a couple of people. And they put one through all their hypnosis and all that, and at the end of it, they said, "Nah, that didn't actually happen. It's imaginary that you imagined happened." It was like a yeah, and yet they did another one. And they said, "Oh, yeah, something definitely happened here." Yeah, I think they put him on a lie detector test. He wasn't sure what he was experiencing. Maybe the lie detector test wasn't very good. I don't know. Also, have you ever been to a medium or psychic and done anything crazy like that at all to find answers?
I had a lady say something to me in the mall at Paducah, Kentucky one day. She walked up to me, and I was eating at a little side place in the mall. Walked up to me and said, "I know you from," it was a junior college, "but I don't know your name.
Yeah.
I feel like you're very close to your father, and you need to get him to a heart specialist, cardiologist, right away."
Yeah.
Well, it weighed on me for a few days, and my father wasn't someone you could say, "Hey, I'm going to make you go to the doctor."
Right.
But I did. I worked on him.
Yeah.
When I got him there, they said that he was a walking heart attack. He needed to have angioplasty 3 or 4 days later.
Right.
Like emergency angioplasty. So that's my only experience, and she walked across the mall to me. I didn't go to her.
You don't think she was the woman in black by any chance? Not the men in
no,
black.
She went to the same college I did.
Oh, right.
Junior college.
So she was a psychic, you reckon?
People said that she was.
Oh, right.
And she would take donations, but she walked across the mall. I've told people, somebody at school must have told her I had a father that I was close to, or I visited or lived with part of the time. And at my age, who wouldn't have a father that might have heart trouble?
Right.
Maybe it was just 2 and 2 is 4. But then again, maybe it wasn't. And he did get better. He never had a heart attack.
Did any of your family talk about the UFO experience at all? Or was it sort of closed up? No one talked about the UFO sighting or your abduction experience?
My grandmother. You mean mine?
Yeah, did they talk outside the family to anybody about this whole experience with the UFOs and abductions? Or was it only just...
My father and I spoke about it with his lady friend of 30, 40 years. He didn't marry, maybe 30 years. They were girlfriend, boyfriend, but they never lived together. They were like
what
a
I'm trying
married
to
couple that didn't live
yeah,
together.
what I'm trying to say,
He told her.
was any of the story publicly known? Because once it's publicly known...
Yes.
Once it's
I
public...
told people about it, and they made fun of me my whole life in my small town.
Right, okay.
To this day.
So I'm just wondering,
if I went,
because you never had any men in black show up like you hear on these other stories, right?
No.
No strangers,
No.
no Air Force guys, FBI or anything.
I will
like
tell you this. You reminded me of something. My mother said that a man came in a limousine driver out to her little house in the country after their experience was in the paper or something, and the guy came over and said, there's somebody in the back seat that wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
And he was someone, she wouldn't tell me who he was.
Right.
Said that he was in government in Kentucky, wouldn't tell me who he was, and that he had had an experience while he was on his tractor in that area. And he wanted to talk to her about their experience, but he didn't tell her to shut up or not to talk about it.
Right.
He came in a limousine with a driver out to her
rich,
little
then.
house in the country and asked her to get in the back seat and talk to him about an experience, something he saw while he was driving a tractor.
Oh, well, now you've talked about it all now. You just have to keep an eye if anything strange happens from now on, or you get any people knocking on the door.
Well, I wouldn't start shooting them like the people in Kelly, Kentucky did. But
No.
in that day, and even in that area that I grew up, even now, my nephew, my sister's own son, if he saw anything like that, people just like him would just start shooting.
Yeah.
They wouldn't think twice.
What
would I do?
That's Daryl Sims said us to a T. Shotgun underneath the bed.
I have a rifle, but would I start shooting it? No, not unless they posed a threat, an immediate threat. Then do I think it would do any good? No.
So
I think it would probably hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
As I would become a threat.
So they might be helping rather than not helping, you know what I mean?
In some way.
Maybe you're helping them, but in turn they're helping you as well, in some way. I don't know what, though. Or maybe
I can't imagine how.
Well, they sort of helped my back problem because I was in agony with it. Now I don't have to take so many painkillers. But yeah, whether that was real or not, it certainly did change that whole thing where the needle in the back, right? So all I can say is something happened in the body, whether it is dreamed up or whether it was actually really happening. I can't really be sure unless it keeps happening. But yeah, whatever it happened,
I've had a few precognitive dreams in my life that came true later, that were while I was asleep.
Yes. So whatever
I
happened,
think maybe
no one
all of us have those.
If it happened to me, no one in the house knew that it actually happened in that case. The dog didn't woof. No one else got woken up. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Anyway, I've been given the hurry up that we got dinner cooking and I got to go.
Okay.
And I got to take the dog out, blah, blah, blah. So we got to end this session now, unfortunately. And we've done 3.5 hours already. Wow. Okay, so yeah, thanks, Shelly. You can just hang up now if you want to, and we'll catch you.
Okay, thank you.
Catch you on
if
Discord.
any of my friends came on here to watch me, stop it. Thank you all. Good night.
Okay, see ya. Yes, guys. So that's how you do it, I guess. I'm sure there's other good stories out there we've yet to hear that people haven't told, that we've kept quiet for many years. So yeah, thanks. I'll say good night now, and we'll see you again next weekend. We might be changing our time zones with Robert. I'll have to talk to him about it. Please like and share, and I'll just end up with the credits here. Any last things here? And it's effect to do live. Good night. Yep. Shelly's already onto it. We had a constant watchers there. Must have been some interest in it. So I'm just going to bring up the credits now and get moving. Good night, everybody. It's been a fun show. We gotta watch out for the dislikes on that one. All the haters. Haters will be haters. How many times have we heard that? Truthers are haters. So expose the liars out there. And they say they call us haters. Good night, Kiwi.